taxes, you can still get the help you need. We've helped thousands of taxpayers just like you. But you must call 800-806-1299 today to stop your tax problem from getting worse. The information is free and the help is real. Call 800-806-1299. That's 800-806-1299. Again, 800-806-1299.
We are live, we are local, we're the best thing happening in radio with the 412 and 724 today. Don't believe it? Check it out for yourself. We're waking up with you every weekday morning from 6 to 8 a.m. Yeah, it's the GD Morning Show. Tucker Pittsburgh, 1320 WJAS.
My mom says I can be whatever I want to be when I grow up. But being the mayor of the lost city of Atlanta has its costs. My cell phone is ringing off the hook. That's why I have a prepaid whole life insurance policy, GBO Life. Just 3 annual payments to fully pay up the policy. Not covered like sand for a lifetime. My policy accumulates cash value, helps protect my future insurability, and it may even earn dividends. Plus, as a GBO Life member, I get access to youth leadership programs, scholarships, and tuition rewards programs, which makes my mom happy. Don't let your kids be fishes out of water. Visit GBU.org and start their dreams too. GBU Life is the marketing name for GBU Financial Life. Life insurance is underwritten by GBU Life, Pittsburgh, PA. Policy will mature when insured reaches age 121. Payment of dividends is not guaranteed as the assumptions on which they are based are subject to change. A parent or legal guardian must sign the application even if someone else owns the policy. Policy and features are subject to approval and may not be available in all states. Please see policy coverage for complete details.
Hi, this is Diane Ireland from Ireland Contracting. Our company understands what you have accomplished to keep a roof over your family's head. This year, put your hard-earned tax-free fund to work on your #1 investment, your home. Make this the year your home gets that makeover it deserves with Pittsburgh's home exterior experts in roofing, siding, windows, generators, skylights, and electrical services. We have over 30 years of experience and we know what it takes to get the job done right. Call Ireland Contracting today at 1-800-NEW-ROOF or IrelandContracting.com.
Mama, what does the chicken say?
Chicken. Oh, okay.
What about the tiny dog? What does the turkey say?
Go out, Roxy.
Giraffe, really? Okay. Giraffe.
Giraffe.
Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are fucking with
Giraffe.
for their age and size. Get it right. Visit NHGSA.
.gov, bend over.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You wish your life came with a warning anthem?
Stop, bad dog. Does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Away from your computer. No.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're using your phone by mistake.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take a 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cat is loose on that cat tub.
Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Pittsburgh weather.
Snowy tonight with a winter weather advisory in effect and a low 24. Partly sunny tomorrow with a slight chance of snow showers and a high 31. Mostly sunny Sunday with a high 39 and mostly sunny Monday with a high 45. From the Ireland Contracting Studios, I'm Greg Maxwell on the Talk of Pittsburgh, 1320 WJAS.
Stream us anytime, anywhere. The Talk of Pittsburgh, 1320 WJAS is on the
Please welcome Mark Levin.
Tough as hell. That's why I like Mark Levin. And I'm not sure a lot of people like him. He's tough as hell. But I like him. I love him.
Call in now at 877-381-3811.
We have another legal matter, and you see, this is all part of the strategy, the plan of the Democrats. Legal matters every day. Legal matters every week. Trump on defense. Democrat judges, Democrat prosecutors, Democrat jurors, Democrat members of the media, Democrat column writers. Day in and day out. They do not want him to have any breath to campaign. No breathing room to make his points to the American people. No breathing room to go after Joe Biden. They're trying to crush him. And they've decided the best way to do it is legally, because they saw that their legal strategies during the election were effective in changing election laws in various states and outcomes in various states. While the people trying to fight them and challenge them were said to be abusing the legal system and losing all these cases. That's exactly what's going on here. The idea that Biden and his team is not behind it is a lie. Absolute lie.
Where are you?
I just got done cleaning my room coming home.
Where are you?
In the parking lot, Jim.
Listen. Pull as close as you can to the Sonata.
Okay.
Like all the way up next to it. So that if I have to use that thing tomorrow, I only have to do what's everything behind the cars. Do you understand?
Hey, what's for dinner?
I made you steak like an hour ago.
I'm so depressed. This guy, I made 184 yesterday. This guy says I weigh 109.
I don't know how.
I don't either.
What's ours?
I've been starving.
Oh, go buy that one. Because you weighed 194, right?
No, I weighed 187. Then it went to 184. Yesterday. Now it's 109.
It was 184 on... Wait a minute! It was 184 on that one?
On you, on ours.
Alright, well, you know what? When you come home, weigh yourself and see what it says. And then we'll know if there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, because this one here is 109. I better get home.
It's snowing bad. Just pull up as close as you can. Pull up as close as you can, almost kissing the bumper, so that I can, if I use our snowblower tomorrow, I have plenty of room to do it.
Alright.
And I only have to do behind the cars, because the rest of the driveway will be, clear. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right, drive safe. Drive safely.
I'll go to get out of court. Start tonight.
Get going.
PBS? Maybe. Media Matters? Maybe. Media I don't know. They're not the fairies. President Trump will continue to fight for presidential immunity across the spectrum, says Stephen Trump, Trump's spokesman. Now, these civil suits against Trump are separate from the criminal case against him that also rose on January 6th. On Monday, Trump asked the justices put the case on hold on immunity grounds. So you've got the lawyers organized all that, bringing civil cases based on January 6th. You've got the Department of Justice at the direction of Joe Biden and the White House having brought the criminal case. And I want to say, after Biden's out of office, I really advise on the air, anybody who's been damaged as a result of Joe Biden's border policies, to sue him. physical injury damage? Maybe somebody in your family was murdered? Raped? You can't bring criminal charges, but you can bring civil cases. And what I'm hoping and encouraging is that thousands and thousands of civil cases are brought against Joe Biden after he leaves office.
Let's go.
Because he doesn't have immunity.
I don't think she wants to leave, Joe.
We know this.
Hey, this is between me
because
and my
the
wife.
media told us
Why
it's a
don't you mind your
broad,
own damn business for once?
claim.
Why
Broad
do you
claim.
have to make a scene? Pour me another drink.
Damn it, Darcy, I just want you to
Every
come home.
argument you're hearing now
Home. Later.
Can't believe you do
at the
this to me.
D.C. courts have ruled
Do what to you, Paul?
about immunity have been
How are the
rejected.
overall
And
reviews
so now there's
for
precedent for suing Joe
Bannister's
Biden.
The New Eden?
I'm not kidding.
I'm stupid.
You son of a-
Sue his sorry ass in one civil court after another. In Texas, in Arizona, in New Mexico,
Go on. Get out of here.
in New York, in New York
Darcy,
City, in
take
Florida,
care of our sons.
in California, and then on the northern border. All across the northern border. If you've suffered any kind of damage, any, to your person, somebody in your family, economic damage, you sue his sorry ass civilly. And you...
Hello there, Chubby.
Subscribe if you like. Bannister's Ghosts of New Eden comes out February 13th for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC for $60 on consoles and $50 on PC. Graphics and presentation are going to be first. Bannister's always looks like that game. One you tell your friends you sort of dig, but they look at you funny because every time you show it, it never looks exactly like you remember. A slight impossible. No matter how many graphic settings you do or how many adjustments you make, it's always a bit raw boy to Melvin's great one. And that fits because New Eden and the characters and the overall tone and feel hits around that time frame with a ghost story behind it. And while you can always tell this is a game with a double A look to it, surfacing characters and designs everywhere, and a feeling and look closer to, say, Greedfall or Vampire with some Plague Tale mixed in there, at first it's deceptively closed off as a game, and I expected to see more open areas right from the starting, but instead they're mostly hubs and outdoor areas to a town and forest caves, hidden ruins, with twists and turns and cuts and shortcuts everywhere. In many of those locations, as you continue on, the explorable parts become larger and larger, ripped out from more secret spots, treasures, and mini-bosses and hauntings to vanish that have their own small part in the building of the narrative. That's really where Banishers excels, blossoming out into something far larger than its own pace, and with its own atmosphere and look. And yes, it can look rough at times, but in particular locations, some bosses, and some exploration moments, the game can punch a bit above its weight. Graphics-wise, in particular, texture work has been all over the place, as well as characters. Don't go in thinking that you're going to see Resident Evil level of character faces as well. It looks a little bit older, a couple of years, and the lip sync in particular is really rough. It can be distracting with the amount of content face-to-face you have with other characters. To make it look its best, FSR and DLSS are here, and it does have a couple performance issues. Those both definitely help it. It also has a large number of settings. Distance, foliage, textures, assets of all kinds, shadows, and post-processing qualities can be turned up and down. Now, it has the DLSS and FSR2 for a large mixture of choices to get performance out of whatever machine you have. But be aware that DLSS and DLSS with BrainGen both have a good bit of smearing effect in particles like rain or ash, and that's really regardless of the level of quality. This is with, so far, their latest patch they have available. FSR doesn't seem to show that. Graphically, when Banishers hits the hardest is the difference between the spirit world and the earthly, going into a thick bog, smearing everything down to 1 inch in front of your character's face, brings up this claustrophobic feeling, this ethereal voices that around you, and that is helped by the audio work, and in particular the sound. Environmentally, the sound of the forest, wind, and the occasional crunch of moves on twigs is atmospheric, as some of the other location pieces build around you. The pushing of a marble-sized ball of steel at 2,000 feet per second through a spirit's head sounds great, as echoes bounce around a cavern wall, where the sounds of buildings long past their expiration date crumble around the characters as they explore. It builds up this feeling of fiction. However, combat sounds with swords and against creatures and ghosts isn't really a good sound. Something about it just doesn't feed back. I would have loved to have some kind of effect on the sword, like a whistling through the air, or some kind of different impression than the mushy sound that we get when we're attacking these creatures, especially because there's just so damn many of them. But when it comes down to it,
as a whole package, it's fine. It's just brought a little bit down there and brought up definitely by the environmentals. And those environmentals are absolutely assisted by the music. Celestial with the main menu music and a ghostly solo female voice echoing out fades into dark tones and eerie arrangements, with discordant chords playing out longer than you feel comfortable with. It's this unsettling, spooky soundtrack, working with the story, consistently wondering what goes over which hill and why the hell everyone moved to Lane so dire in the first place. It really is an excellent soundtrack that builds each location as you move forward. Something else that builds it is the voice work. The two leads are really well done here. It's best to remember what Vanishers is going for them. Where Vampire had the tale of two men within the same body, Vanishers almost has four. Both characters have their own initial thoughts and drives, and those push them forward through the main story and those changes, and then their own reaction to the changes. And it can feel more complex, like seeing a reflection of a reflection, or a copy of a copy, as things start to degrade around you, choices, and the identification of those choices are reflected by the people voicing the characters. So that means a great deal of the back and forth of the leads, many times with no one else around, occurs when you're alone at some fireside. It's a spectral love story, one that hinges on promises made and unmade between the characters, as well as those that the NPCs have made and tried to remake later. It's an excellent narrative piece that continually shifts as you go through, and the two leads do a great job with their delivery, especially later on in the game when both Red and Antia are starting to build up the ultimate decision of what they want to do. However, there were times, especially when dealing with some of the NPCs, where the back and forth didn't work as well. For instance, Antia is far more direct than Red, and sometimes that directness comes in a way of her just basically trying to push Red into decisions, like two MMO players where one of you's done the quest already won't shut up about what choice to make and keep skipping cutscenes. And especially at the starting of the game, it feels a little bit differently than it does at the ending. It works quite well, but it just felt a little discordant. As a package, though, the audio work is excellent for this game. It's got its issues that bring it a little bit down, but overall, I was quite happy. Let's talk about the gameplay. Greedfall, Vampire, Plague Tale, Gothic Helix, Witcher 3, Tell Me Why, and Life is Strange. These games are going to run through your mind when you first start playing Vanishers, because it has a little bit of all of them in its DNA. Like a baby born in a communal family, the real parents pass on the core, and then everyone that raises them adds a little. However, that doesn't always work out perfectly. Vanishers opens quickly, walking gamers through the basic life of the Vanishers. Two leads are arriving in a new lane to help out a prior associate. And during this time, you can already feel some of the similarities between these past games. The action style, the movement between locations, and the way dialogue works. You walk around, explore, take in quests. Adds a little. However, that doesn't always work out perfectly. Vanishers opens quickly, walking gamers through the basic life of the Vanishers. Two leads are arriving in a new lane to help out a prior associate. And during this time, you can already feel some of the similarities between these past games. The action style, the movement between locations. As a package, though, the audio work is excellent for this game. It's got its issues that bring it a little bit down, but overall, I was quite happy. Let's talk about the gameplay. Greedfall, Vampire, Plague Tale, Gothic Helix, Witcher 3, Tell Me Why, and Life is Strange. These games are going to run through your mind when you first start playing Vanishers, because it has a little bit of all of them in its DNA. Like a baby born in a communal family, the real parents pass on the core, and then everyone that raises them adds a little. However, that doesn't always work out perfectly. Vanishers opens quickly, walking gamers through the basic life of the Vanishers. Two leads are arriving in a new lane to help out a prior associate. And during this time, you can already feel some of the similarities between these past games. The action style, the movement between locations, and the way dialogue works. You walk around, explore, take in quests and clues about people, and then make an ultimate decision. It's basically Sherlock Holmes with a Scotchman. This is a land infected with spirits that, like the Oregon Trail, tons of people died in misery. Prevent their untimely demise as you can see your city. Ties a great deal of the player's continued forward momentum to a story and a world at their pace. So you may find that it's got its unique viewpoints that are attractive, but it's a bit slow. If a game is defined by its narrative presentation of mechanics as a triangle, mechanics might be the shortest side in this game. While not always an issue, it would feel a little bit more noticeable than it might have been in here. However, despite any of those issues that I had, I still absolutely enjoyed my time with Vanishers, and I think a lot of people who like these kind of games will, as long as they know it's a different beast than the prior games from them. Check out more reviews coming from the channel, subscribe, check out the page. Occasionally, and for that, I have no problem saying it's worth buying if you like these kind of games. Will it create a new fan who isn't someone who likes third-person action RPGs with more listed choices? Vanishers is a bit of a slow start after an initial burst of energy and ties a great deal of the player's continued forward momentum to a story and a world at their pace. So you may find that it's got its unique viewpoints that are attractive, but it's a bit slow. If a game's defined by its narrative, presentation, and mechanics as a triangle, mechanics might be the shortest side in this game. While not always an issue, it can feel a little bit more noticeable than it might have been here. However, despite any of those issues that I had, I still absolutely enjoyed my time with Vanishers, and I think a lot of people who like this kind of games will. And
What?
They're playing. Look at them. I don't need it. Tired old man. Just a tired old man. This is home, Max. Say hello to your son.
Who's there? Who's there?
I had to wait for the meeting. Yeah, that smart ass, what's his name? Those people at the back. I said, I don't want it. I said, no. Oh, pepperoni? Oh, let's see. Hey! Ricky! You want a duck jerky? Where's the smell? It's under my bed. Get it, Tubby. See it right there?
Keep it right here. Put it on the flattest part of the floor. What's up, you booby? What's that?
I've been eating, you know what I've been eating.
Yeah, but you also had the fruit. You were eating fruit.
Well,
I'm telling you right now, it's a toast. Stop eating the bread.
what am I going to have in the morning to eat?
Do what I do. Have an egg. No carbs. Can't have a sandwich. You ate it.
I have not, I've been inside.
Sonia, you didn't wait till Monday. You have to weigh yourself early.
I'll put out games tomorrow.
You know, could have been the ice, the candy. Oh, we each got 3 left? Well, I'd make that your last time you eat them. Get back on track. But I seriously count my carbs. I don't know if you're doing it. Half the feet. Do it. Yeah. Well, you can have one. Well, gotta get some. Get some. I've been buying. Well, you better get some because I've been buying meat and cat food.
I need $25.
Food.
Here's my medication.
Thing. It's not like that anymore.
No, she had to get 2 good. Didn't have that. That's 15 milligrams.
Capsules.
10 and 5. She went on stomach now. You have to give her one of these or one of these. That's 15 days after.
Alright, so I can't be over.
Just give her the 10. Maybe the 15.
No, let's do it. Thinking about how
No, that's serious. I might be too much. I don't want to that's too fat.
There's no fat, there's no carbs in butter. Just put it down between them.
There's fat.
There's not that much fat in it. Burn it all off. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it don't eat pork.
I'm following what you told me to do.
I don't know what you do.
I didn't cheat.
I didn't say you cheated, but you know. Okay. Maybe you gotta cut everything. Everything's hard. That, I'm sure it does that sugar in it. Alright, so you got 1 carb. That's not. It's not your standalone. That's have gone over. You know, maybe when you had oatmeal that time. Cereal the other day. No, you didn't see it though.
I did.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to salad. You want to go out, good.
You're not gonna lose any weight. See, you can't even stay on my diet 1 week.
No, I could just eat salad. That's how I lost.
You're not gonna just eat salad.
I did.
You're gonna go, no, you never have. You're not around me, and you're just gonna go back. You
I
want to lose?
ate
I don't
salad.
want to hear a frickin' word from you.
I lost 30 pounds when I still.
Yeah, that's because you were sick.
Yeah, that's still.
That's because you couldn't eat.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, you couldn't eat anything. That's why you were forced to. You're not doing it now. You're not following the rules. You're quitting. Because I told you not to check the scale until Monday. Okay? Wait till Monday. If you're still a load on Monday, then quit. But I'm not quitting. I gotta lose the weight
I have to
myself.
quit.
You just said I can't eat it. I couldn't eat
No, it's
salad.
depressing.
You're not gonna fucking eat salad. Too bad. That's what happens. Buy a box of strawberries, you can eat them. I'm saying, they said strawberries was low in carbs and for fruit. What I would do is, I would get all those yogurts.
Yeah. I always saw like the one.
Get the low carb yogurt, so if you get a sweet tooth, what you're gonna do is eat one of those. Just remember, carbs.
Here.
Where's the bowl on the other side? The steaks or beef steaks? This one's got a beef steak. Sloppy around. Sloppy. Oh, I had a mistake. I didn't have a vegetable. I didn't have anything. Here's another trick. From now on, when you use the eggs, throw them out. Don't stick them in the carton. You know why? Because the other ones, they freeze to it, stick to it. You go to pull the other egg out next to it. It's in the cracks. Can't do that. Just throw them out. Don't stick them back.
I just like this small.
4 minutes. 4 minutes. Boil the water.
No, I can't.
I never did that. You have the little cups. Rub the top off with your spoon and you scoop it out with your spoon. Ever heard of that?
No, you just did.
Now that's different in yogurt. Now this is the egg is hard. It looks like a hard. You put it in an egg cup. Okay, with the shell and everything.
We had
Crack, you take the top off, and you take your spoon and you dip it, and the yolk is like somewhat, it's like orange, and it's not runny, but not fully cooked. Those are delicious. Your mother was a lunatic. She killed everything I ever loved. You bite this cheese. expert. You would hate it. Watch this.
Who is it?
Darren Reagan, we spoke on the phone earlier.
Oh, hi.
And I told you I've got nothing to say.
I was just hoping for a few minutes of your time, sir.
I did my civic duty. I served on that jury, and I voted my conscience.
And we appreciate that. It's only because of citizens like you that our criminal justice system works.
Because of people like you. Hi, Max.
Conduct hearing regarding her alleged love affair with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, whom she hired and paid over $650,000 in taxpayer money to lead the RICO case against President Donald Trump, despite this man's lack of experience in any sort of case remotely similar. A conduct hearing regarding her alleged love affair with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, whom she hired and paid over $600,000.
Maxi Peaches.
Matthew Marsden, that's right.
Yeah, you know.
That's right. I finally convinced you to join the family.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited.
Need that music, we are family now. We're the nice family, it's awesome.
Yes, yeah, we're really, really excited. So now it's fine. You just are contractually obligated to join the family. All right. So I guess, hopefully we'll still be friends at the end of it. But so I don't know how much of this you caught. It has been very, very entertaining watching this even happen, because you wouldn't think, I talked about the last segment at the beginning of the show about how the judicial system has been weaponized against conservatives to such a great degree. It's a little refreshing to see it back on the other side every once in a while, and so...
Does it have to be this obvious?
I know.
It has to be like, hang on a minute, I've got bags of cash in my living room.
No.
Oh, hang on a minute, finally, they're going to go after somebody.
Right, exactly. So I want to play some of these very tense moments throughout. She was, I would argue, as hostile. Now, I guess the judge didn't say you're not quite hostile, but you're not quite pleasant either. And then Fani Willis was like, well, attorneys are engaged in acting contrary to democracy because they dare question me about potential misconduct. Watch.
I think we have. So I'm not a hostile witness. I am very much welcome.
Not so much that you're hostile, Ms. Willis, if you've been an adverse witness. Your interests are opposed to misfunctions.
My interests are contrary to democracy, Your Honor, not to mine.
Please, the fact that you would question a black woman about her alleged affairs and, money laundering operations, siphoning off taxpayer funds to her boyfriend, who she was involved in this affair with. How dare you How dare you?
Like that Greta Thunberg thing.
How dare you?
I do. How dare... See, but here's the problem. They are so emboldened now. They genuinely think this, like, hang on a minute, like, you shouldn't be coming after me. How dare you come after me? I am untouchable. But this isn't the first, as you said, this isn't the first time. This happens all the time. And guess what? They get away with it every single time. So now she's like, hang on, you think you're going to come after me? And by the way, I'm going to get out of it some way, shape, or form. That's
right.
She probably will, to be honest with you. Something will happen. I don't know if she's like racist, but I edited that. I told you earlier. I had a friend of mine from Europe. So people don't understand. This is how bad this is. A friend of mine in Europe, he's a left guy, but he's a decent dude. Like we talk about a few different things, and he's kind of come along on certain subjects. And he goes, "Oh, this is all about race." And I'm like, it's got nothing to do with race.
But that's what the media...
That's what they say it is about. They make everything about that, and it's not right. It really isn't right. And she's got this like big pile. You imagine, like, you know, Scrooge McDuck. Remember Scrooge McDuck? Yes. She's got this big pile of gold in the middle of the living room. And she's like, nothing to see here. No, oh, hang on a minute. Hey, dude, who I'm having an affair with, and who I just put on this case, come and get a bucket, fill it up with gold, and take it back. No, I don't know why I'm doing something wrong there at all.
Right. Well, okay. So to your point. There was a moment where, you know, they kept asking her that the allegations, a lot of them, stem from all of these lavish trips that the two took together, which the thought process, I guess, is that he paid for them on his credit card, but she's like, no, I reimbursed him for my half, but it's just cash, so sorry, I don't have any receipts, or like, I never deposited the money anywhere.
Where's the IRS, right? They come after you on everything. Any little discrepancy, and they come after you, and they weaponize the IRS. People, this is one of the things that, again, we keep telling you guys, over and over and over and over again. They are going to come for you eventually. If you do not get engaged, if you do not get involved in your local politics, they're coming for you.
Yeah. Well, look. Fanny has a very reasonable explanation for why she doesn't know what cash came from where, and the fact that she just repays people thousands and thousands of dollars in cash in the first place. Watch.
And I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life. If you're a woman and you go on a date with a man, you better have $200 in your pocket. So if that man acts up, you can go where you want to go. So I keep cash in my house. And I don't keep cash as good in my purse like I used to. I don't go on many dates, but when you go on a date,
is that the only time you go out?
So the question was, where did that cash originally come from? If it came out of the bank. Cash is fungible. We've had cash for years in my house. So for me to tell you the source and where it comes from, when you go to Publix and you buy something, you get $50, you throw it in there. Well, it's been my whole life. When I took out a large amount of money in my first campaign, I kept some cash of that. To tell you, I just have cash in my house. I don't have as much today as I would normally have, but I'm building that up now. So just put money in it. It's a very good practice. I would advise it to all women. You can't identify when you came into this cash or where the cash was. Exactly. Identify it. Nobody gives me anything. I am sure that the source of the money
is literally like the top attorney,
which you asked
in Fulton County.
Doomed. Which is doomed.
What I am trying to tell you is
this is a diversity hire.
Divorced in 2005. And no, it's important. You said, where did the money come from? And I need to tell you where the money came from. And so for many years, I have kept money in my house. That money, in my worst days, has probably only been $500 or $1,000. At my best days, I probably had $15,000 in my house of cash. At all times, there's going to be cash in my house. Or wherever I'm laying my head.
The money that you paid Mr. Ray, the cash, in October of 2022, you do not know where that money came from.
I do know where it came from. It came from my sweat and tears.
You know what this job is.
It came from, I'm not a, what are you talking about?
Melissa. By the way, all the criminals in her area right now are going, right, wait till she leaves, I'm going to rob a house, and then I'm going to rob a house again. Yeah. Don't tell anyone. It's like, where'd you keep, keep it under the mattress, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, so there's a safe in the closet, and the code is 465, and that's where I keep all of my money.
Yeah. So when I'm out, Or I carry like $200 on me, so you can rob me as well. Like,
now we don't have this because it just happened not that long ago, as of the time of the taping. But her dad is a former Black Panther, and he took the stand today, and he was like, "Look, this isn't a racist thing, but like, Black people keep a lot of cash." Like he tried to just say like, "Look, it's a Black thing, all right? We like our cash. We just keep cash. That's just what we do. Come on." And so it. I don't know, but it's so embarrassing. How is Fulton County not so embarrassed right now of their top dog, DA?
How did she?
She's at diversity. She's a diversity hire.
How did she get there in the first place? This is the thing. It's so insulting. I say this, Sarah. When what's her name got booted out of Harvard, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people said it's race, right? There are so many other people who are Black that did it the right way and worked their asses off and got up, and she took the job from that person, right? Why don't people talk about that? Why don't people talk about that there are plenty of other people that could have taken that job? They're actually qualified. You don't have to dumb it down and have somebody like this who's, I mean, imagine this, well, where'd you keep the money? Well, I mean, where'd you get the money from? Well, it was from the last bank robbery I did. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like she said, it was from a campaign.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know the campaign finance rules very well, but maybe it was a loan repayment. I don't know, but that's a really great reason to have a freaking paper trail. Just saying. So there was a moment, that the whole time they're establishing the relationship between the two of them, when it took place, she did have one of her friends like stab her in the back and say, yeah, they were dating as far back as 2019 before this guy got
Tell the truth. Or tell the truth.
Right, exactly, right. Thank you. And so the whole time they're establishing this relationship, and at one point, it got really, it almost seems like now she has a personal vendetta against her then boyfriend, probably not current boyfriend after this exchange. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, I'm pretty sure we're about to watch Fannie Willis basically insinuating, telling the whole world that Nathan Wade had erectile dysfunction.
Last, Eric, briefly.
Yes, sir.
You had contact with Mr. Wade in the year 2020, correct?
I had some contact with Mr. Wade.
Yes.
Explain when you say some contact. Please tell us about 2020.
I had some contact with Mr. Wade in 2020. One of the reasons your allegations are so preposterous on this merchants that you have done is...
Well, I didn't ask you about the allegations. I asked you about your contact. So I asked you, okay, I appreciate that you want to say something. But I'm interested in, did you have contacts with Mr. Wade in 2020? And your answer so far has been yes, correct?
Very limited contact because Mr. Wade had a form of cancer that makes your allegations somewhat ridiculous.
I do appreciate the characterization.
I'm not going to emasculate a Black man, but I'm just telling you.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm not going to emasculate a Black man. Did you understand that?
Let's just say that. Next question.
First of all, I'm pretty sure you just emasculated a Black man, because you said all that needed to be said, but also, are you going to emasculate a white man?
Well, why is it all about, I don't get this, like, why is everything about race? All you gotta do is go back 6 years ago, and people didn't put, like, white or Black or Hispanic or Asian before they said something. Why is it all about that?
Because it's
what works for them. Sarah, I want to know.
Because it's what works for them. Because we are living in the oppression Olympics, and you get points in this country if you are oppressed, and you get even more points on which categories you can. If you can check multiple categories, if you are, let's say, a Black trans woman, which they always use, it's like, well, now you've won the oppression Olympics because you are more oppressed than the next person. It's like value to them. It's like, I mean, it's worth nothing, of course, but to them, it's worth everything, it seems like.
Well, but nobody really believes this in the real world. Like, nobody wants to be defined by that. No one of any worth, anyway. And I think we're seeing the push is coming back. People are like, hang on a minute, like, don't be defining me like that. I can stand on my own 2 feet. I can go onto this, I can go onto that. You're not going to categorize me like that, so I need some kind of, like affirmative action. It's just utter bullshit. It's the most racist thing ever. This has to end, and people have to stop doing it, because it really is that they are succeeding in dividing. But I do feel that the pendulum is swinging the other way. Like I said, I think people are saying, hey, listen, I'm not cool with that. I don't be saying that anymore. Like, I'm a being, I'm a person that can stand on my own 2 feet. I don't need these other things that qualify who I am. I mean, like what it says, you know, it's the immutable characteristics of the human being, the least interesting things about them.
Spoken like a true white man.
White man.
Just saying, toxic white
Yes.
man over here. Okay, before we go, I would say the most important part of this particular hearing is Dressgate or Zippergate. So Fannie Willis, she's wearing this dress, right? Well, first of all, her American flag pin is sideways, but her dress, I think her dress is on backwards. This is the zipper that's supposed to go in the back.
We've all done it.
No, I've literally never worn a dress that way. So here's a picture of the dress. I wish we had a picture of the dress from the store that it was bought, because someone on social media found the dress on the online store, and it most definitely does not zip up in the front. That she put her dress on backwards.
Most of them don't.
No, I've literally never worn a dress like that where you have a zipper like that.
Although I can imagine
in the front.
Like you kind of like, I don't know, like it's like that bra thing that women do, right?
Yeah.
We kind of go, should get bra. I've never understood that. Like, you know, most dudes like have struggle, like, you know, would struggle getting that jacket on, and women go, bra. I don't understand.
My next magic trick, bra.
So maybe she's like, you know what, I'm making it easy.
Yeah.
I'm all about efficiency. Zip at the front.
Well, I hear she is pretty easy, so maybe that is the
spicy. Spicy.
But for the record, my input on Zippergate is that Fannie Willis was absolutely put her dress on backwards. 110. Sarah Gonzalez said it today. Mark it. Whatever day today is, February whatever, 16th. Sarah Gonzalez confirms Fannie Willis is dumb enough to put her dress on backwards. When we come back, let's talk, Matt, about the Biden administration suing Tennessee for holding people with HIV accountable for knowingly spreading it. We've got a lot to say about that. We'll be right back. We are always in motion. Getting this, fixing that, arriving to destinations in life and around the globe. Sometimes it's beautiful. Sometimes it's a blur. Because life never stops, you need someone you can trust to go right along with you, no matter where the future leads. Enterprise, for lives in drive.
Hey man, ever since you tried Zesty Valley Ranch, you've been bigger than a bat. How could you say that? First off,
Hidden Valley Ranch.
oh, this is unbelievable!
Every Mazda is built around you, including our certified pre-owned CUVs. Each one puts safety first. Each one we take those needs on day to hand backed by our comprehensive warranties. Stop in today and pick up a certified Mazda.
Discover an exceptional offer on Mazda certified pre-owned vehicles at Kenny Ross Mazda.
Simple, savory, satisfying. Fabulous meals ready in minutes. No prep required. Get started today. Healthy meals for your lifestyle. Clean Eats Kitchen.
Did you just see Mom?
At National, you are in control. Skip the counter, choose any car in the aisle, and manage your rental right from the app. So you can mix work
Get your
with
eggs.
pleasure. Or leisure
Eggs.
with work, giving you the control to find
Bread was
the
out
right
all
balance.
day at Gillette.
Go National. Go like a pro.
I just let him in an hour or two ago. He's out again. Did you let him out? He's at the window.
Well, hello there. Another one of the poor and stupid of Diamond City come begging for table scraps?
He was literally looking in the window.
And there you have it. Yes, over the break we grabbed these pictures.
I remember now.
That
You said
is
you don't want to
the
go out
dress.
there.
And there is clear pictures of her wearing this dress, the tie, everything. That is the dress she was wearing. It very clearly zips up in the back. And she is such a moron. She put on her
You
dress
just walked right up into the
backwards.
stands, didn't you?
Oh my gosh.
Like your
That is-
I don't see the problem with this.
You want something? Listen up. Everyone
Does
wants
that guy
something from
be deep?
me,
Does it feel
so don't make a
different?
fool of yourself.
Oh my gosh, she just started a new trend.
Everyone's gonna.
Now you're doing it.
Yeah, you know it.
You should meet my
I feel like
grandson. Oh, not that he would ever come up here. No.
Feels a little. Does it feel a little Chris Farley-ish?
Yeah, I just like.
You go on. Do what you like. That's how my family made their fortune.
Well, hello
No
there.
fear.
Another one of the poor and stupid of Diamond City come begging for table
For like
scraps?
approximately 2 days, you would understand that those zippers are meant for the back, not the strap. Also, I'm sorry, she needs a proper bra. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it out there. You don't have to comment on that. I don't to my own comment, but I will own. So the Biden administration's Justice Department
wasting
filed
my
a lawsuit
time.
yesterday claiming that Tennessee's, they have a new aggravated prostitution law for people with HIV, which imposes penalties for engaging in prostitution while knowingly infected with HIV, which to you and I would say would be obvious. Like, yeah, you know you have HIV and you are intentionally engaging in sexual
wasting
acts
my
that
time.
could give someone else HIV without them knowing. That's a big freaking deal. While the Biden administration says that it violates the Americans with Disabilities Act, saying people living with HIV should not be subjected to a different system of justice based on outdated science and misguided assumptions.
I'm getting bored.
Is it an outdated science that you can pass HIV now? I mean, other than Magic Johnson's miraculous recovery, I don't understand.
There's a lot of like, what on earth is going on? But yeah, listen, there was a case I think a few years ago, if my memory serves
I'm
me
getting
well, in
bored.
California, where someone was actually doing it. They were going around and willingly infecting people with HIV, and it was, I mean, that's an assault, right? I think they call it an assault. Or that's what it was deemed under the law. And then I think California passed something very similar to that. You can't be prosecuted if you knowingly don't tell
I'm getting
someone. Because,
bored.
I mean, listen, apart from, I mean, you'd say, well, if you're a decent human being, you tell the other person, right, that you're HIV positive. But someone who's going to a prostitute probably isn't a decent human being. But, you know, that's going to have massive impact, because a lot of these guys, I'm sure, they don't tell their wives, they go and they sleep with a prostitute, and then they go back and probably sleep with their wives, and then it's a whole thing. Again, it just seems that if there's something right, if there's a course of action that is correct to pursue, the Biden administration goes, I'm going to do the opposite. They do it over and over and over again.
They really do. Okay, so to your point, because I mean, if this is all part of this whole DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have to, we can't hold people with HIV accountable for anything. We can't hold trans people accountable for anything. We can't hold, minorities accountable for anything. And so instead, let's flip everything in their favor without regard to, I don't know, how that affects everybody else. So now, on top of this, the Biden administration is saying, go with me here, follow me. we want more black veterans declared mentally disabled. Well, follow me in the name of equity, okay? Because black vets currently receive disability payments for mental health conditions at nearly twice the rate of white people, and now they have a new equity initiative on top of that at the VA that is, I'm not kidding, that is aiming to declare more black people mentally disabled, which, I don't know, seems very offensive to me. Sounds very offensive, but to the Biden administration, it's all in the name of equity. So they say higher percentage of black vets receive disability compensation benefits than white veterans for mental health conditions. On average, black veterans also apply for disability compensation at higher rates and receive slightly higher disability ratings from the VA than white vets. However, black vets have lower grant rates than whites for mental health conditions. In response to these new findings, the VA will be taking immediate and aggressive action to eliminate this gap and ensure that black vets get the benefits they deserve. So even though black vets are already getting
You're wasting my time.
More. Yeah, too. They're like, but the grant rates are low.
Again, it's all ass backwards, isn't it? Like, everything is ass backwards. I want to make a bigger point about this. And that is, if I get something, I'm going to tell you guys that if I get another person that says that I'm going to write in DeSantis for the election, in the general election, because in some way, shape or form, that they think that it's somehow more noble to do that, which means that any chance that Trump will get will be gone. And you're going to get another 4 years of this. What is going on in your head? We have to stop this. This is driving the country into oblivion. We are not going to recover from this insanity. All this has to be rolled back. And you're going to have 4 years of rolling it all back. And
you're going to need way more than 4 years.
You're going to need more than 4 years. So, if what you want, really, let's be honest, is Trump is going to be the nominee. You certainly don't want Nikki Haley. I don't know anyone who wants to vote for that woman. I've never met anyone who wants to vote for her. So Trump needs to be the nominee. He needs to win. He needs to do 4 years. It's going to take all this time to undo all this. And then guess what?
I'm getting
Florida's governor's going to come in 2028 and go on.
I hope so.
Please.
I hope so. That's the only way that this gets fixed. But look, Matt, look at what the uphill battle looks like. Just to get the first part of that equation to happen. 91 indictments. Okay? 91 indictments.
You're wasting
then
my time.
You have to believe that he will win fairly in a secure election. And that the election will not be fortified such as it was before. And by the way, that's not coming from me. That's coming from all of the elitists at Time Magazine who admitted to fortifying the election. So you determine what the word fortifying means. They spelled it all out for you in Time Magazine so arrogantly. So that's not me saying that. I'm sure at this point we'll have some sort of disclaimer on our YouTube about the 2020 election and the results of that. But hey, they're the ones who said they fortified it. So I'm just saying, you have to overcome all those indictments, plus believe that the election system is going to work the correct, right way, even though certain states that had all these discrepancies the last time around, they haven't all had election integrity laws passed where they wouldn't happen anymore.
Where's the Republican Party being on that? Like, why aren't they hammering them on every single?
No, because both of them hate us. Both of those,
wasting my time.
Not the conservative fighters that we know, there are few and far between. Not them in office. The head of the RNC hates us.
Yeah,
but Democrats clearly hate us.
Yeah,
but the RNC, they hate us. Ronna Romney McDaniel. I don't know who the new one's going to be. Hopefully, someone gets in there who actually is grassroots. But I'm just convinced that they all hate us.
It's Tommy or Scott. I don't know if Scott's.
I don't think she already said she doesn't want it.
Yeah, well, she was spurned before, right? She was spurned before, and that was wrong. But what I'm trying to say, and this is a really difficult thing to get across, certainly on social media when you talk to people, and I've been hammered for it recently. I'm just like, look, it's a binary choice. No, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. It's a binary choice, and it has to be absolutely overwhelming. Like, everybody has to go to give it any kind of shot. And look, I don't want to be like a negative Nelly and say that I don't believe that the election is going to be fair. I'm not going to say anything on that. I think we both know what...
The Democrats will lie, cheat, and steal.
Of course they will. Right? All right, so they will. So we have to go out there and do whatever we can, because...
Yes.
Look, since I've come to America, I've heard every single time, like, this is the most important election of my life. This is the most important... And I've gone, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever, yeah, whatever. It is. Like, this is. And this kind of stuff that we just saw on there, they're transing our kids, they're doing all this kind of stuff, they're literally ripping us apart, they're driving the economy into the ground, they're importing millions of people, who, by the way, might be terrorists. No, they don't like to say, you know, terrible people. They're not sending their best.
They're not. That's really good.
You should try that.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Yeah, I agree with you. I know we have to take a break here in a second. I agree with you that it's like... I respect other people's opinions if they differ from mine. That's fine. But for me, I'm fighting so hard to make this country a better place for my kids to live in. And it's war, in my opinion. And the fact that someone would stay home or say, well, we're getting the same thing, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, they're both, like, no. We would not be talking about a story about making sure that you label black veterans more mentally disabled in the name of equity. We would not be talking about a story about the Justice Department being weaponized against Tennessee for holding people with HIV accountable when they knowingly infect someone else with HIV. Like, we would not be talking about all of this madness, to your point, Matt, about, like, all of the unspeakable things that they're doing to children in the name of gender ideology. We would not be talking about any of that. We wouldn't. We just wouldn't if Donald Trump was in charge of things again. And so it's just, he was horrible on COVID. Can I say that enough times? I have said that for 3 years. He was awful on COVID. Operation Warp Speed was terrible. I hit him on those things in the moment and afterwards many times. He empowered Fauci. He shouldn't have done it, right? He spent like a madman, like a drunk person. He shouldn't have done it. But for all those faults, you cannot convince me that Donald Trump would still not be leaps and bounds better than the dementia patient in chief that we have currently living in the White House while people are changing his diapers. You just cannot convince me of that. And I'm fighting too damn hard for my kids to live in a country better than this for someone to tell me that, like, oh, we're getting the same thing. You should just stay home. We're not going to vote because we're mad that our guy didn't get it. I liked DeSantis too, but I'm not going to give up that quickly. I owe it to my freaking kids to make sure that I do everything possible to get these people out of office. They're trying to start World War III all across the globe, and it's just like, no, Donald Trump would be just the same. Really, I think there's a reason why Russia didn't invade Ukraine while Donald Trump was at the helm of things. I think there was a reason that he achieved more peace in the Middle East than any prior president. I think there was a reason that none of these global conflicts broke out when Donald Trump was in charge. So yes, two things can be true at once.
I'm getting bored.
Those mistakes. I don't like that.
We know that.
Of course. And I've talked about it ad nauseum. But the man would be much better than the bullshit that we're dealing with right now. Like, 100% you cannot convince me otherwise. All right. Stay with us. We've got more to come. We'll be right back.
I'm getting bored.
The extra twinkle, that extra swagger, feeling healthy, right leaps and bounds, making a dinner
I'm getting bored.
that makes their whole day, and giving your best friend the best nutrients for their best life. Science did that.
I'm getting bored.
With Amex Platinum, you get access to travel benefits like the Centurion Lounge, daily complimentary breakfast for two, and guaranteed 4 p.m. checkout at 5 hotels and resorts. So the first vacation at a
Say
trio
something already.
actually feels like a vacation. That's the powerful backing of American Express.
I can't believe a single bottle of Tide came with all my clothes.
Really? That's almost 61 large loads.
Go on, Sergeant. I'm sitting down, buddy.
My belly's the same size. Why does it clean?
Say something already.
Concentrated.
So a little bit goes a long way.
Wow. There's a lot more close with
That's the same room that you're in. I'm gonna go grab it.
Take 3 times the money. It's meant to be tied.
This guy will actually get a good night's sleep. Despite the odds. Get out of here.
You're wasting my time.
This guy stands a chance of staying focused.
Seriously?
Don't ask me, ask the companies that went viral. Alright. She'll be able to find the bright side. Anywhere.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
This year, we're doing wellness on your terms.
Say something already.
Wake up, baby.
Because bedtime stories don't always have happy endings. There's BC Max powder, powerful relief that puts pain to bed fast. Because life. Well,
I'm getting bored.
Monster. Monster.
Get out.
Rest to see us fine. It's the team view.
Take advantage of this exceptional.
I'm getting bored.
I can see the future.
Soon into the future. It's just the beginning.
I'm getting
So
bored.
about a dozen of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers have filed a lawsuit against the United States government, specifically the FBI. They are saying that the FBI failed to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking crimes as far back as the 1990s, and the lawsuit alleges that all 12 women were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein. Within the lawsuit, they said Jeffrey Epstein's penchant for teenage girls was an open secret in the high society of Palm Beach, Florida, and the Upper East Side of Manhattan, which was disregarded by the FBI. Epstein orchestrated an illegal sex trafficking ring for the elite, and the FBI failed to adequately investigate the abuse, failed to interview the victims, failed to investigate the crimes, and did not follow routine procedure or offer victim assistance.
I'm getting bored.
Reports and tips. Now, this comes shortly after Jeffrey Epstein's brother is raising new questions about how he died. He shows some, I want to warn you guys, this is a graphic photo. So if you can't handle this is an autopsy, a picture from the autopsy showing the ligature mark.
I'm getting bored.
On his neck. Now remember, we were told that he hung himself with a bed sheet. Does that look like something that a bed sheet would do? I mean, this is those of you who are listening on the audio podcast, this is a very thin line around his neck. And
you're wasting my time.
There's just no way that came from a bed sheet. Also, the marks go straight backwards and not at an angle like you would be if you were hung by a bed sheet, right? So now is probably a great time to remind everyone that Jeffrey Epstein didn't
You're
kill
wasting
himself.
my time.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, again, we're not surprised, are we? We're not surprised. The FBI investigates nannies. You know, they're throwing innocent people into jail for January the 6th, and then they're letting things like this go. I wonder why. Why haven't they let the listeners out?
I'm getting bored.
Maybe because all of the elites make sure that list doesn't come out. And really, at the end of the day, we are run not by Joe Biden or anyone else. We are run by the elites. And if the elites don't want it so, it will not be so.
Which goes back to your point about
I'm
the
getting
Uniparty,
bored.
right? Like, all of them want this. It's not, and I think that for all his shortcomings, by the way, probably the greatest rant I've ever seen you do, which I agree. I was sitting there going, yes, that's right. That's what I want to say. It was awesome. He shook it up. and they were terrified of Donald Trump.
You're wasting
They are
my
still
time.
terrified of Donald Trump. And that is not just one side. It's both sides. And like you said, again, people, I love Ron DeSantis, but it's like me backing the Bills to win the Super Bowl. Now, they didn't make it to the final. I'm sorry, they didn't do it.
Say something.
So he didn't make it through. So you have to, it's either Biden or Trump. And it's the same with this move. This needs to be investigated. The FBI needs to be dismantled, or at least. And I know people are going to go, well, wasn't he going to buy him a new building? I'm like, do you not know the way Trump does negotiations right now? What he says, like.
Also, he has verbal diarrhea. Like he says things he shouldn't say all the time. So we're getting. You guys get to live at like in real time. We're finding out. You guys already know it, but we're finding out to confirm. Judge Engoron did, in fact. You're going to be shocked, Matt. You don't have pearls to clutch. I feel sorry for you. He did find Trump liable on all counts.
You're wasting my time.
And ordered him to pay the maximum amount of money, which was $370 million. Nearly $370 million. And the legal experts that I have read, I've read their opinion on this, have said this is, of course he's going to find this finding and it's going to be overturned on appeal and Trump will not actually have to pay that much money. But he has to pay his legal bills to defend this bullshit.
It's death by 1,000 cuts, and this is what they do. This is what they do. And by the way, they're going to do it to you too. It doesn't matter if you're a milkman, if you work at the store, they're going to do it to you. All right? They said that they were going to do it at the beginning. And listen, I'm applauding them. I'm applauding them because you know what? They have the courage of their convictions and they get involved and they do not stop. What conservatives do is they go, oh, we have the best ideas and let's play by the same rules. And, again, you're not standing on principle if you're not voting for Trump. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. You're voting for Biden. This is what it's all about.
I'm getting bored.
They don't get it. And I want to say, Sarah, because you are out there. You and I had it in California, right? We've seen what is happening to this country. Like, we've been to these places and understand what is coming. And you might be living in a rural area and think that it's not going to get to you. It is going to get to you. It is. Can you please get involved in your local politics? How many times I have to tell you?
Which, by the way, that means show up at the primaries. Don't just say I'm showing up in November. There's a primary in your state that you need to vet these candidates and make sure you are picking the right person to represent you. To Matt's point, it's all a uniparty. So just because you hit the button next to the R doesn't mean that you're doing us any favors. Get involved, please. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Got something to say? Leave Sarah a message at 888-96.
Diabetes can serve up a lot of questions. Like, what is your glucose and can you have more carbs? Before you decide. With the Freestyle Libre 3 system, know your glucose and where it's headed. No finger sticks needed.
Say something already.
This sensor sends your glucose levels directly to your smartphone. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C. The #1 CGM prescribed in the U.S. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us. In the future, all of us, powerless. We have to figure out why it's going.
I'm getting bored.
Soon in the future, it's just the beginning.
Sounds like that main therapy session I've avoided.
We're not good experts.
At this point,
We're looking for financing. They needed some seed money to get the business going.
When I got the news that we had gotten into our dream retailer of Beauty.
I'm getting bored.
And this is our maker. Got it.
You're wasting my time.
He's changed. I am he, and he is me. This isn't an ordinary ship, this is a time machine.
You're wasting my time.
This is almost more frightening when it strikes invisible. Our supreme plan to control the universe.
Yes, I've had all that before. It keeps the...
something already.
That's an extreme emergency.
There was disaster for a lot of innocent people on the ground.
It would have been a horrifying experience. This is let us go. They never gave up.
I'm getting bored.
Mayday! Mayday! Engine flame out.
Welcome to Deep Space Nine. They're not on a space Omega. There's a whole quadrant on the other side of the world. This is many adventures. This is right here.
You're wasting my time.
Don't worry, Doctor. We're going to have a wonderful time.
It's time now for a welfare check.
I'm told we have a welfare check today. Let's listen.
Hey, Sarah. My name is Izzy. I've been listening to your show for a solid, I want to say 50 minutes, so since the beginning. I started with my dad, and I was currently going to be graduating high school this summer.
I'm getting bored.
It's time now. For a welfare check.
I'm told we have a welfare check today. Let's listen.
Hey, Sarah. My name is Izzy. I've been listening to your show for a solid, I want to say 50 minutes, so since the beginning. I started with my dad, and I was currently going to be graduating high school this summer. What is some advice you can give me?
I'm getting bored.
Just to live as a conservative, and I'm going into college in Washington. I'm going to remain my country. What's like?
You're smart.
What advice you can give me to be able to be successful and maintain my values? Thank you so much. I love the show.
Oh, I love my values. You already know it. You've already got it. Your parents did a great job building it within you, and you just go out and you live out those values.
I'm getting bored.
You got it, sister. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, you're right. She's dialed in. You're all good, Izzy.
Also, join your Young Conservatives Club as well.
Say something now.
Sure to keep an eye on the Studios America podcast
I'm
stream.
getting
And
bored.
of course, have this program for your audio listening pleasure, and also brand new episodes of State of the Race starting soon. It's completely free, audio only series that will help you in the year to come here with all the election insanity we're about to face. You can also watch this stupid show completely free on YouTube, youtube.com/StudioAmerica.
You're wasting my time.
Subscribe to the channel and go for notifications. And you get them when we post not only the show, but also some of the comedy bits we've got coming up. Really good one coming up next week. I think you're going to like. Charlie Spearing is going to be here to talk about our favorite vapid, zilch, and heels Vice President Kamala Harris. Things are heating up in court with Fonnie
I'm getting
Lewis,
bored.
former lover. That was spicy today. It was amazing. We'll get to the latest on that in just a couple of minutes. But first, we're going to start by doing the Chiefs parade shooting. Obviously, a terrible situation. We talked about it briefly yesterday. And, the way it was sort of being talked about is this yet another one of these mass shootings incidents where someone decided to take out as many people as possible. Obviously, crowded area. These things can get really, really ugly. The number, I think, was 21 or 22 people who had been shot. I mean, it's a terrible situation. That sort of narrative from the beginning has sort of changed, and I don't know. It seemed one of the first indications of this was when 21 people get shot.
You're wasting my time.
You're kind of surprised if many of them are considered to not have life-threatening injuries. Now, it's interesting if you look at the statistics on shooting.
You actually survive it more often than you'd think, but it is one of those situations that when you're trying to kill as many people, obviously you're going for body parts that are going to cause the most damage. And when you have a large number of people shot and not as many fatalities, oftentimes what you get are people who are caught in crossfire of a separate incident, and that does seem to be what occurred here. Shooting after the Chiefs' Super Bowl parade seems to stem from a dispute among several people, police say. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. We didn't know how this would turn out. ABC News had a report this morning that sort of outlined what the police believed.
At this point, authorities tell me they don't believe this was an act of terrorism, but the police chief says that there were multiple bad actors here, got into some sort of disagreement or argument, and decided to
You're wasting my time.
take care of this and handle whatever they were arguing about in the middle of this crowd.
We were here for a safe celebration. And because of 2 bad actors or more, is why we're standing here today.
There are some suspects in custody, and a firearm has been recovered. But an exact motive, why exactly they did this, still remains under investigation.
So we don't have an exact motive, but it does look like it was 2 or 3 people. Some of these people were juveniles, it appears. Again, like, did a juvenile go into a gun store and buy a gun? It would be highly unlikely that that would be the way that this happened. So, like, illegal guns, but we don't know all the facts on that yet. So, an altercation here that gets out of control, people start shooting at each other, and sadly, there was a group of children nearby. All the children expected at this time to make it, thankfully, but it was really, really ugly. And honestly, when you look at this as more of a interaction between 2 parties here,
Say something already.
There's some reports that maybe it was gang-related, at the very least some sort of just fight that broke out and turned into a gunfight. This is actually a lot more indicative of the actual gun violence problem we have in this country. Often we talk about these mass shooting events, someone going to a club or some crowded area and just firing randomly into the crowd, and we act like that's the big problem. Of course, we've covered this 100 times as a tiny, tiny sliver of the issue. These incidents are relatively rare, and they are a small, small part of the gun problem in the United States. And of course, we do have an issue with gun violence in this country. There's no doubt about it. But no one wants to actually deal with the actual problem. They want to deal with these high-profile incidents where they, thrust all sorts of fame and notoriety on individual morons who want to go and just hurt people for no particular reason. That's not really a good summary of what our gun violence problem is in this country.
Say something already.
And it is interesting to see how slowly the information has come out. Now, I can tell you right now with the utmost certainty that if the shooters here were big white guys in trucker hats that had white print on a red background that said "Make America Great Again," you'd know. You'd have a very good idea of what was going on, what the motivations are. Of course, we don't know that really yet. We don't know who the people were who did this yet. We don't know almost anything. And it is interesting how slowly this information seems to come out when a certain profile is not it. These seem to be people of color here, which does not fit the white supremacist narrative. It doesn't really fit any narrative the media wants to talk about. And of course, the last thing in the world that this has anything to do with is race. This is seemed to be just people having some sort of conflict that turned into violence. And of course, the people being shot at many of them were being shot at this were just innocent bystanders that had nothing to do with the conflict at all. In fact, the woman who was killed, the one person who did die here, was a popular radio DJ. And she was killed in this, just a terrible, terrible incident. She had nothing to do with it, just caught up, as they say, in the crossfire. Now, this doesn't stop anyone from doing what they always do. And this is, of course, what President Biden had to do. Biden renews call for gun legislation after deadly shooting at Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Now, of course, all indications this was not a legal gun anyway. It was not legal weapons. Certainly, it is illegal to murder people. It is illegal to shoot people in the crowd. There's no law lot of books that we know of that could possibly have addressed this, but we're just going to say it anyway. Here he is blathering on, and you can tell he didn't write this because it's somewhat coherent. Yesterday's events in Kansas City should move us into action. How many more families need to be torn apart? It's time for Congress to finally act to ban assault weapons. No indication that an assault weapon was used in this case, of course. Limit high-capacity magazines. No indication that high-capacity magazines had anything to do in this case. Strengthen background checks. You don't get a background check when you're using an illegal weapon. And keep guns out of the hands of those who have no business owning them. Now, of course, I mean, I guess there's a general idea that I guess if no one, he were somehow able to craft a law that specifically kept guns out of the hands of people you didn't want with them, I guess you'd be, first of all, a magician, but secondly, you'd have some sort of solution. Of course, that is impossible. You don't know that you don't want the people to have them until afterward. And of course, if you're a juvenile, there's a high likelihood that the person who was firing the weapon shouldn't have had it in the first place. In other words, laws already prevent them from having it, yet the bullets seem to fly anyway. This nonsensical reaction, of course, is part of our country. Every single time one of these things come, people just repeat the same nonsense over and over again. And I guess you get that everywhere. You even get it now in sports media, because this is a sports-tied story, how ESPN and Kansas City reporters reacted to the Chiefs parade shooting. Here is Adam Schefter, who knows a heck of a lot about, of course, NFL situations that are developing with agents and teams and signings. Maybe not quite as much about the Second Amendment and gun violence, but here's what he had to say.
This is our country today, unfortunately, where you had a celebration happening in Kansas City to celebrate the world champions, and a shooting breaks out to where now ABC News has confirmed that at least one person has lost their life. And so the Chiefs, I got a message, are okay, at least according to the person that texted me. Doesn't seem like anybody from their particular party was injured or hurt today. But there are at least 8 to 10 other people who were injured. There's at least one person today who lost their life. And we are left here now to try to make sense of this particular situation. These images are happening everywhere, all the time, every day, every week in this country. It's disgusting. It's sickening. It's enough. How many times do we have to see this everywhere? So today, it's the Chiefs' turn. It's at a Super Bowl parade. Tomorrow, it will be somewhere else. Somebody else will lose their life.
How profound. What a profound statement.
I'm getting bored.
There you go. Adam Schefter letting you know how disappointed he is in the country. Well, luckily, we had even more of this. And every time these things pop up, it's labeled as profound speech from this guy. Incredibly profound blah, blah, blah about this guy. Of course, this is just nonsense.
You're wasting my time.
Okay? Nobody wants people to get shot. We all understand that. But, of course, they act as if this is a problem that is increasing. If you know anything about gun violence statistics, that is not accurate. It has been falling for multiple decades. That doesn't mean that these people have to know anything about what they're talking about. They just get to come on and just blather on about how profound and these meaningful moments and how we're just back in the cycle again. Tomorrow we'll see it there, and tomorrow we'll see it there. And then they go back to my mansion in my Ferrari. This is what happens over and over and over again. We get to hear these people make profound statements. Let me give you another one. This one is Marcus.
I'm getting bored.
This is who we are. This is who we are. So now the ever-revolving cycle is going to start. The news outlets will talk about gun control. They'll have politicians on from either side to talk about what needs to be done. The activism, and people will speak out about we need gun control, we need gun laws. And then we'll have prayers up.
I'm getting bored.
We'll get about
prayers up. Prayers up is all over the place. And it's unfortunate. And all the time it's unfortunate. This is not an isolated situation in this country. But I know what the cycle is going to be, and then we go back to normal everyday scheduled programming. And the problem is that in these particular situations, when we have to come on television or anybody else has to talk about it that hates this part of what we are as a country, then it's always isolated. Well, it's this and it's that. The bottom line is it happens too much in the country. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's profound. Once again, hearing. I love
You're
how
wasting
all
my
these things
time.
are just saying like the same thing is going to happen, and people are going to do the same thing, and we're not going to do anything, and that's always how this goes on over and over and over again. And I guess that's supposedly true, you know. Of course, part of that cycle is everybody going on TV and saying that over and over and over and over again. It is tiring.
You're wasting my time.
No one wants these things to happen, but of course, none of these commentaries are realistic. None of these commentaries are talking about anything. Yeah, I could certainly come on and say, you know, we keep seeing these things happen over and over again. Over and over again. We're going to have the same cycle over and over again. You know, once again, we saw it yesterday. 2 dead, 9 injured in a 35-vehicle pileup in California. Everyone just started screaming for help. And we're just going to keep seeing this again. You know, it's going to happen in another city tomorrow. It's going to be another car accident. And yet we're going to keep letting these 4-wheeled murder machines roll down the street and crash into each other. We're not going to do anything. No one's going to stop. No one's going to step up and do anything. And we're going to see it over and over and over and over again. You know, when you see this today, 1 dead, 7 hospitalized after a suspected drunk driver slams into a parked vehicle. 2 people walking got hit. We're going to see this tomorrow. What's going to happen? The same thing in another city. And yet no one's going to do anything. No one's going to step up. No one's going to ban alcohol. What about common sense measures? Like you can't go to a place. But these bars are going to remain open. By the way, we'll have a Bud Light commercial coming up in about 10 seconds. But these bars are going to remain open. We are going to allow people to drive their murder machines on wheels.
You're wasting my time.
After going to bars, we're not going to do anything. What about raising the drinking age to 26 or 36 or 50? What about just ban alcohol completely? That would totally solve the problem, right? We see that over and over again. Remember when Prohibition was here? All these problems went away, right? Remember? Well, no one remembers. No one remembers. That stuff doesn't work.
Wasting my time.
We're in a country where 400 million guns are already out there. Okay? And you might say, well, that's why we need to get them under control. Well, tell me, explain your proposal that does such a thing. What we basically have are proposals to limit future purchases of firearms. So, again, it goes from, 400 million to what number? It's going to be up. It's not going to be down from 400 million if you're limiting future purchases. And again, what they usually want to do is limit the purchase of expensive weapons. Well, what happens when you do that? If you have $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 to spend on a gun, they say you can't buy that gun. What do you do with that $2,500? Most people are probably going to buy 2 or 3 smaller ones. So you actually wind up with more weapons on the streets. By the way, this is exactly what happened when they passed an assault weapon ban in the 90s. By the way, it did not change murder rates at all. It did nothing. The only thing it did do was it wound up killing more people with handguns. And they died instead of from handgun fire than from assault weapon fire. It's a small difference, but that was the one difference that you made. And I know all those people who died from handgun fire were like, thank God I didn't get hit with an assault weapon. Because this death is totally different. Look, the goal here is to not live in a society that does not have guns. In fact, this is a society built on your right to own them. It's the Second Amendment of the Constitution. The goal, of course, would be to get to a place where people don't want to kill you. That would be a great place to be. Unfortunately, we don't live there. We live mostly there. We live in a society that's much better at having other civilians not kill you than it was just 30 years ago.
I'm getting bored.
It's definitely improved, but no, we're not there. We don't have as low violence rates as some other countries. Yes, there are differences. Of course, there is a price to pay for these freedoms, and unfortunately, sometimes terrible, terrible things happen because of them. If someone wants to kill someone, they're going to find a way to do it.
Say something already.
All the time. It's not always guns. There's lots of different ways this occurs. We live in a society based on trust. You walk into a grocery store, you walk by hundreds of people. Those people could easily kill you. None of them had background checks coming in. None of them were frisked for weapons coming into the grocery store. Terrible things can happen to you at any moment.
You're wasting my time.
You can't live your life, of course, hearing those things all the time, because it'll drive you insane. But we have this sort of typical leftist approach to mock prayers and say, oh gosh, that's all we're going to do is thoughts and prayers, and we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything because we have this off-the-shelf solution. We could just reach up and grab right now and just solve this problem. Those evil Republicans and the darn gun-toting voters won't go for it. It would be so easy. We could just do it. And then when you ask them to explain how they would do it, they got nothing. They've got nothing because this is not an easy problem to solve. If you want a free society, you're going to have a very difficult time stopping people from doing things that are terrible to other human beings. It is going to be very difficult to do. If you want to lock down like North Korea, you might be able to make some gains there, but are you willing to give that up? Are you? I'm not.
I'm getting bored.
I'm not, and I don't have to, because we have a constitution that guarantees us these rights. What are they going to do? They're going to tell us all about all the things they're going to do. Oh, we're going to do background checks. Do you think the 15-year-old went through a background check at a gun store? Do you think the 15-year-old was out in his garage in the suburbs 3D printing his weapons?
I'm getting bored.
Do we think that's what occurred here? Maybe we'll find out that's what it is, but over and over again, these solutions, of course, don't stop anyone but law-abiding citizens from actually getting these weapons. If you ban guns, we would have only people, 400 million, there's no way you ban them, you know where you collect them, without starting a civil war. But all that being said, even if you somehow did do it, you wouldn't, of course, close the border, so weapons would flow across the border. We'd have illegal immigrants and criminals with guns and, citizens without them. These are difficult problems to solve. These are difficult things to stop. Often, when these incidents happen, conservatives say, well, we have so many gun restrictions, people don't even have guns. But in this situation, even that doesn't apply. There are plenty of good guys with guns in that crowd. There are 800 police officers in that crowd. If ever, you could never come up with a better solution to stop shootings than putting 800 police officers and military members all around to stop the shootings. And
say something already.
You still have shootings. It's impossible to stop completely. All you can do is the best that you can do. I mean, look at October 7th in Israel. They built a giant wall. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on intelligence. Their military was looking at this area. We were told over and over again it was an open-air prison.
You're wasting my time.
And yet those people still came across and murdered thousands of people. Man's inhumanity to man has been a problem for a long time, boys and girls. It's going to continue to be one for as long as you're around, I promise you. It's unfortunate, I wish it didn't exist, but even if you ban guns completely, they're still going to have that problem, which is a human problem. It's a problem that goes back as long as history has been recorded. If you want to try to stop gun violence, yeah, you know what? You can get your flux capacitor, you can go back to when they invented gunpowder, and maybe you'll have a chance. You lose a lot in that period, a lot of advancements, and maybe you'll have a chance of stopping some of the gun violence.
You're wasting my time.
These periods before gunpowder existed were incredibly violent. Go read about the biblical times. Lots of crap was going on. This is what human beings sometimes do to each other, and the media lets everyone down by not being honest about it. And just saying, look, this is terrible. We're going to do what we can to stop it. But stopping future purchases of weapons for people who aren't even in the system because they're underage and buying illegal weapons, likely that came over a border we don't want to close, is not going to do anything for anyone. These things will happen. It is a part of life. You just do what you can.
You're wasting my time.
Understand that each one of these freedoms you give up, you're losing something. You're losing a little piece of your right as a citizen. And, at the end of the day, we've seen these things spiral out of control in country after country after country throughout history. And I don't think the American people are going to put up with that happening.
I'm getting bored.
Constitution, is the Patriots' choice in the weapon management. If you are avoiding certain businesses who offend your values, let's just say we're just talking about the Second Amendment. How many times have you seen these companies who go like,
you're wasting my time.
Use our credit card to buy a firearm. We're going to de-bank a company that does that. Do you want to be, after you're watching a news story about this, you're so angry about it, I'm never going to shop at that store again. I'm never going to use that credit card again. and then you go look in your portfolio and you've invested in that company, why would you want to do that? You're taking these steps that are important.
You're wasting my
and yet your portfolio
time.
doesn't reflect those changes. Constitution Wealth can help that all align for you. And also, by the way, still get really strong returns. You have to retire someday. But Constitution Wealth can help you reduce your investments in stuff like ESG, DEI, anti-gun stuff, and pro-abortion stuff, and whatever type of thing that is passionate.
I'm getting bored.
They can help you avoid. This is your opportunity to help build the parallel economy by working with an investment firm that is comprised of professionals who are patriots just like you. You work with an advisor who shares conservative patriotic values. Why would you work with anyone else? Go to constitutionwealth.com/Stu, constitutionwealth.com/ get a free consultation today.
Say something
Check them out.
already.
Constitution.
This spring is the perfect time to get away.
You're wasting my time.
On your favorite Hyundai model. All backed by America's best warranty, plus 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Add more joy to your journey at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Get in and get away now before these deals are gone. Get 0% APR or up to $1,500 bonus cash.
I'm getting bored.
Hurry, offers end 2/29.
Yo voy a amarte, siempre soy tuya, tú siempre eres. Every kiss begins with you.
Get ready to embrace your future.
Say something already.
You know how to pull off the mother of all escapes. You know going off the grid's the only thing on the agenda. And you save 15%
I'm getting bored.
Or travel with your Delta Amex card. You know treating yourself to a vacation is a sad idea and can bring you closer to adulthood status. You know the dress code is no dress code. And to go where the only kids allowed have 4 legs. The Delta Sky Miles Platinum American Express card. If you travel, you know.
You're wasting my time.
Hey, Dad, can you borrow your hat?
Happy New Year! Have you thought about new auto insurance? All insurance with the coolest around.
This year, it's
I'm getting bored.
upgrades. NJM, the top-rated service and great rates.
You guys gotta be my Joko.
No vehicles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM.
You're wasting my time.
There was disaster for a lot of innocent people on the ground.
It would have been a horrifying experience. This is never scarred a little. They never gave up. Pirates don't give up. Mayday! Mayday!
Engine flame out.
Say something already. You're wasting my time.
Welcome to Deep Space Nine. I'm on the streets of Omega. It's a whole new quadrant on the other side of the world. Just many adventures. This is
You're wasting my time.
keep your position. This is Starfleet. I can't think of higher praise. Don't worry, Doctor. We're going to have a wonderful time.
Say something already.
You bet. Thanks for having me. How are you?
really well, and I'm really
busy day today.
Yeah, it's been a crazy day. Every day is a crazy day these days, Charlie. I'm really glad that you wrote this book because Kamala Harris is somebody. You know, I'll make fun of her word salads. I know that's something that goes around a lot. But this is a person who is one 80-year-old heartbeat away from the presidency, and there's been surprisingly little in-depth scrutiny of her career, and you wrote this book because Kamala Harris is somebody. You know, I'll make fun of her word salads. I know that's something that goes around a lot. But this is a person who is one 80-year-old heartbeat away from the presidency, and there's been surprisingly little in-depth scrutiny of her career and path here and her beliefs. And you've done a great job going through all of this. What kind of prompted you to write this book?
I'm getting bored.
Thanks so much, Stu. Yeah, it really came down to, not everybody gets a book written about their vice presidency the first few years of their office, but in Kamala Harris's case, it's absolutely a critical part of the 2024 election conversation. Who is this woman? How did she get to be where she is today, despite her limited experience and her thin record in all of the previous positions that she's had? And so that's really where it came down to, is just answering some of the personal questions I had, just realizing there's so much more than just the word salad for conservatives to dig into and really find out.
Yeah, it was really interesting. As I was going through the book, there's a real consistent story arc with almost every part of this. And I want to go through some of the specifics here in a second, but there's this story arc of almost a reverse engineering a belief system. Like, she seems to come up with a goal, a task, a job that she wants, a certain profile she wants to hit, and then sort of reverse engineer what beliefs she's supposed to have to get that goal. And it seems to happen over and over and over throughout her career. Am I looking at that right, or am I just too cynical?
That's exactly right, Stu. And when she ran for district attorney, she tried to steer a little bit to the center, more right than the leftist that was already in charge. The leftist, Karen Callahan, had a real struggle keeping crime and drugs and homelessness out of the city. The mayor was angry with him, the elites were angry with him. And so she ran on the idea that, we don't have to be tough on crime or weak on crime. We have to be smart on crime. She sort of built her brand out, looking a little bit at the center, and was not a progressive prosecutor like the ones we see so many of them today.
Yeah, it's interesting. You could see that she had battles with that during the debates when she was running for president later on, where she was trying to defend almost multiple different records at the same time, which is understandable if you're going to get into word salad every once in a while when you're trying to do that. Let me go back to early in her career, though.
Say something already.
Her relationship with Willie Brown back in the day is something that she does not like to talk about. I mean, this is the type of thing that is sort of off limits if you're going to have Kamala Harris in an interview. You look back at this. I mean, how much of the rumors were true? How much of this was a real factor in her rise?
I'm getting bored.
Yeah, absolutely. She was just sort of a no-name district attorney from Alameda County when she first met Willie Brown. She was 29 years old. Brown was age 60. Brown was running for mayor, and she was, just relatively unknown. But Brown needed a sort of a stable relationship to demonstrate to people of San Francisco that
you're wasting my time.
A stable relationship with an adult woman. His wife, Blanche, was sort of long estranged. And Brown had the reputation of being somewhat of a playboy who couldn't stick with one woman at the same time. So Brown starts dating Harris, and then after that, they date for about a year. Brown wins his campaign for mayor, and he introduces Kamala to all of the great things that the political life and high society offers. And he really opened the doors to her in a way like no other person has, especially with a romantic relationship. And not only that, she appointed Harris to, some state board positions that paid a great deal of money. And I think there was $400,000 over a period of just a couple of years. That was back in the 90s. Put back in today's money, you're looking at almost $800,000 adjusted for inflation. So that really is what helped put her on the map.
Yeah, it's fascinating. She goes there. She starts her rise there. As you mentioned, she gets to
say something already.
She becomes the top cop, as you call it in the city. And she is kind of running as more as someone who is more smart on crime, as you point out. Then she decides to run for Senate, and she kind of reverses again. Right now, she becomes someone who's on the left and a big progressive, sort of at odds with her previous life, and she's able to rise to statewide prominence based on that. You know, these shifts are. I mean, she shows agility, at least when it comes to her ideological positions. But why do the people of California buy it?
Well, that's the thing. She had the help of a very powerful California firm out there, the consultants there, sort of control Democrat politics in California. When you're dealing with a one-party state, it's just a question of what elites are you going to get to back you, and how do you convince them that you belong on the stage. And it has very little to do with the voters in California. Once you're a Democrat, the voters in California can pretty easily vote for you. But behind the scenes, there's an entire different game being played. Showing up and Moon Brown taught Kamala that showing up and demanding a seat at the table is probably the strongest thing you have going for you. And she repeatedly did that in California. And she almost did to Gavin Newsom when the two of them were facing the governor's race in California. Suddenly, Senator Barbara Boxer steps down, opening up that relief valve for Kamala Harris to take her ambitions to the Senate.
I kind of wish that the Newsom-Harris battle thing happened. That would have been really fun to watch, honestly, in retrospect. But so she's able to kind of become a senator. But again, you know, she's senator from a state. There's no question really as to whether it's going to be she's going to keep that job for basically as long as she wants. And she's not really notable until the Kavanaugh thing happens. And that's kind of when I remember her really coming on the national scene, other than, you know, just yet another Democratic senator. She tries to really distinguish herself there by being, I mean, really over the top with the Kavanaugh thing, acting as if she believes every word of every accusation. Is this her? Is she kind of had that mindset of like, this is my chance to grab the national spotlight and turn this into perhaps an eventual presidency?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a moment that she saw and really tried to turn into a national moment to sort of catapult her national political reputation as the courtroom drama, the leader, someone who had leadership skills, someone who was a prosecutor, had the history of being a prosecutor. They thought this was her attempt. But going back and looking over that record, it shows that she really made a lot of mistakes during that hearing, and especially when she, insinuated that Kavanaugh had quiet discussions with Trump's lawyers about the Russia investigation, and even suggested, accused Kavanaugh of actually having these conversations. Kavanaugh didn't remember, but he didn't want to be led into a perjury trap. But Harris spent all of her time trying to convince people that she did. That there was a quiet conversation, collusion going on with Trump and Russia. Ultimately, she never revealed the source of her information and never even made an accusation. Reporters were stunned when that happened. They were shocked that she had no actual proof of anything, just a slight accusation.
So take me a little bit further.
Say something already.
What's interesting about a career arc we've talked about, where she kind of has this goal in mind and she retrofits her position set to win that job or get that advancement. This, we can be kind of cynical about it, but it works over and over and over and over again for her throughout her entire career. In fact, it works all the way up to her run for president, for the presidency. And even that starts out really, really good. Like, she gets a big fundraising day, she has a nice big campaign launch, she has that moment with Biden at the debates, and then she finally hits that wall where this stuff doesn't seem to work for her anymore. And I don't know. I mean, it seems at that point she becomes unsure of herself, and that seems to have continued all the way here. She seems to be so protective of what she's trying to do that she can't even communicate with human beings anymore.
Right? The reason she was chosen as vice president was because of her credentials and her identity and the ability to speak to the country at a time when the world was on fire over the entire Black Lives Matter issue and the riots in the streets. So, the Biden administration, the Biden team at that point selected her to be almost help Biden get across the finish line and really bring them into victory. So and yeah, now that she's been chosen as vice president, she really struggles in the role.
Say something.
She's no longer in control of her own schedule, her own calendar, her own staff. Now she's just trying to prop up this aging president who, at first, the Team Biden had real reservations about her abilities and her skills, and they frequently didn't defend her when she came under attack. She was very aware of that, and
I'm getting bored.
Really unwilling to go out there and defend the president and when they ask her to do it, unless it makes her look good as well.
Yeah, because you paint a picture of a relationship that doesn't seem very strong. I mean, over and over again, she seems to be rejecting, like, responsibilities that are being assigned to her from the president. Like, she doesn't seem to want to do any of this stuff if it puts her in any sort of bad light. What is their relationship like at this point?
Yeah, I mean, when Biden picked the vice president, he wanted a buddy. He always considered himself a buddy of Obama, and he always wanted a similar relationship. And, told reporters that when he selected Kamala, that they would be buddies, that they would be friends. And he worked hand in glove on so many issues. But wow, when they got into office, it became very clear that Kamala Harris still wanted to protect her reputation, wasn't about to take fall for Biden, and still had a very strong interest in preserving her career despite the position and what she's sitting in today.
It's a great book, and it's something that we need to know about because, look, if Joe Biden does somehow win in 2024, I mean, look, there's a real chance that Kamala Harris is going to be president of the United States, whether it's in that 4 years or after that. So you better know where she goes, how her brain works. It doesn't look like it works very well at times, I know, but Charlie really does explain all of this really, really well in the book. The book is called Amateur Hour, Kamala Harris in the White House. Charlie Spearman is the author. It's available now wherever you get your books. We really recommend it. Charlie, thanks so much for coming on the program.
You bet, dude. Thanks for having me.
Wake up, Lily.
Say something
Some stories don't always have happy endings. There's BC Mike's powder, powerful relief that puts pain to bed fast. Because life.
The meat cutting is a joy. Some people look at it as, you're just kind of coming in, you're cutting meat. It's more than that. It's what you're cooking. It's everything I love and appreciate doing.
You're wasting my time.
And this is my dining room.
This spring is the perfect time to get away. With a great deal on your favorite Hyundai model. All backed by America's best warranty, plus 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Add more joy to your journey at the Hyundai Getaway sales event.
You're wasting my time.
Get away now before these deals are gone. Get 0% APR or up to $1,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Tucson. Hurry, offers end 2/29.
He needed to come in and set up 2 accounts for his children. Their mother had passed. He's like, my wife has always done all the finances.
I didn't know what my clothes were being.
You're wasting my time.
Luckily, Sarah's there to help us out. I'm Bobby, this is my babysitter. I thought Blue 47 was Lords at Chinatown.
Lords? What?
Rick, it's the portal. Give me the password.
Oh, the comic convention was last week. This is an insurance convention.
You're wasting my time.
With some insurance companies, you get mascots.
Told you. Told you.
With MJM, you get a dedicated rep whose top priority is you. So, MJMs are mascots. Just great insurance. MJM.
You're wasting my time. I'm getting bored.
It would have been a horrifying experience. This is never smart of it. They never gave up. Pirates don't give up.
Mayday! Mayday! Engine flame out.
I'm getting bored. I'm getting bored.
This year, President's Day is going to look a little different. Get ready for an all-American racing marathon. Map TV Select on Pluto TV. Never leave the track. Celebrate red, white, and blue grassroots racing from America's most iconic tracks. For pavement, dirt. Spend the holiday with non-stop.
I'm getting bored.
This country's legendary four-wheel battle lines. The all-American racing President's Day Marathon. All day on Map TV Select on Pluto TV.
They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There's nothing more beautiful than our earth.
You're wasting my time.
We embrace nature's amazing diversity. We celebrate the heroes who unlocked its mysteries and protect its future. Explore the world every day on Earth Day 365.
Say something already.
He's changing.
Oh no, it's Bonnie Willis. She's here. She's impatient. She wants to get on a stand.
Exactly what happened.
Ah, yes, this was the scene today in court. Bonnie Willis really wanted to get on the stand and talk and talk and talk. And
Say something already.
We have a lady here who wants to be your next primetime host on MSNBC, and she did her big audition today, showing her amazing chutzpah. Oh, she was going to outtake these allegations sitting down. How dare you ask her any questions? Here she is.
Say something already.
Well, no. I object to you getting records. You're being intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial. So my question was, I object to getting any personal records of mine.
You're wasting my time.
Privilege to a witness.
And I'm not dealing with privilege. But we had offered to put them in camera for the court to review, and I just want to know if she has any problem.
Something to do with a witness.
Over and over again, Bonnie Willis would take a question that was direct and just roll with it. Now, if you know anything about in these situations, you think as a person who constantly is dealing
I'm getting bored.
with courtroom situations, you know, you don't give more than you're asked. Like, your job in these situations is to give as little information as possible. You're not there to make speeches. You're not there to accuse other people of things. You're not there to show how important your opinion is. You just want to get in and out because, you know, everything you say can
I'm
be used
getting
against you.
bored.
Over and over and over again. There's a bunch of stuff she wanted to say. Now, there was enough. One of her friends said that she had this relationship back in 2019. She's trying to deny it. She's angry at her. She's angry at the attorneys. She had a whole show. She had these things printed out. She brought props. I mean, it was a spectacle today.
You're wasting my
and
time.
She just kept going, running her mouth, and running her mouth, and running her mouth, answering questions she wasn't even asked, constantly avoiding the question that she was asked. I mean, it was. Like, any honest person that was watching this and, let's say, wanted Donald Trump to be convicted and wanted Bonnie Willis to be seen as credible would be like, what are you doing? Please stop. Just answer the questions. Now, of course, CNN thought it was really good in the segment that I saw. But other than that, I can't imagine anyone thinks it was good. Here she is. This is what they actually got. It got so heated at one point, they had to just stop the entire proceeding.
I think we
I'm very grateful to be here, so I'm not a hostilist. I very much want
Not so much that you're hostile, Ms. Willis, if you've been a first witness. Your interests are opposed to misconceptions.
Thank you. Contrary to democracy, Your Honor, not to my name.
This is so time. It's so cringeworthy. She wants these lines out there so badly. She wanted a bunch of information out there so badly. She, over and over again, goaded the attorneys to let her tell the attorneys about her breakup conversation with Wade, the other prosecutor. They talked about all the trips they went on together. They met at the condo, over 10 times, on and on and on and on. And she also very clearly, multiple times, tried to bring up the fact that he had some male vitality problems. Now, it seems like she does not like this guy anymore. She kept bringing up how, they stopped having sex, and that's when the relationship broke up in his mind, but in my mind, hadn't broken up yet, but that's just how men think.
Bored.
I mean, not stuff she was being asked at all. And then she said, I don't want to emasculate him by basically talking about the fact that he couldn't do things that males would need to do in the bedroom. Freaking sideshow. This woman is nuts, and she killed her credibility today. But she'll probably get a job at MSNBC. If you care about Donald Trump getting prosecuted for this, if you're on the left, you could not have been happy with the way things went down today, however.
Say something.
Well, you absolutely, positively happen to buy or sell a home, and let's face it, sometimes you just gotta. You're moving somewhere. You need real estate agents I trust on your side. It's Glenn's company. He started this a long time ago because he was not tired of dealing with incompetent real estate agents, and he figured, you know what? Maybe everybody else is in the same boat. You know, maybe everyone else has a problem trying to find the best homes as well. So he started this company, and you know, he knows that buying and selling a home kind of sucks. Sometimes it's a lot of work. It can be confusing. You don't really know what's going on. You're at the sort of the mercy of your real estate agent who at least knows what the paperwork means. The agents that work with realestateagentsitrust.com are the best in your area, no matter where you are.
I'm getting bored.
The top sellers, they know the lay of the land, they know the best practices to get you and your family where you need to go, whether it's across the street or it's across the country. Most of these agents are fans of the show too, so you'll have something in common starting right out. Do yourself a favor. Check them out today. Get the best agent in your area. Don't settle for less. It's realestateagentsitrust.com. The name kind of says it all. realestateagentsitrust.com.
Say something already.
Every milestone is built around you. Including our certified pre-owned CVs. Each one puts safety first. Each one would take those things inspected and backed by our comprehensive warranties.
You're wasting my time.
Stop in today and pick up a certified Mazda.
Discover an exceptional offer on Mazda certified pre-owned vehicles at Kenny Ross Mazda.
When they say it takes a village, they're telling you the truth. But sometimes your village isn't as physically close as you think it to be, but they can still show up for you. Like using Walmart delivery to send you your happenings.
You're wasting my time.
You don't have to run that. I don't know what we would do without them.
Banana bread experts.
At this point,
We're looking for financing. They needed some seed money to get the business going.
I was with him when I got the news that we had gotten into our dream retailer. I'm Annie.
I'm Morgan.
And this is our maker, Devin.
At Elizabethtown
Say
College,
something
quality
already.
education combined with a student-centered culture and mission to serve the world will help find your life's calling, your life's work, and your most fulfilling future. Live your best life anytime.
If you have HIV, there are services in Pennsylvania to help you get the care you need. These services include healthcare, housing, transportation,
Say something already.
and mental health support. You are the key to your health.
Business can happen virtually anywhere, but there's nothing like being there. At National, you can skip the counter and choose any car in the aisle. Even manage your rental right from the app. Go National. Go like a pro.
I'm getting bored.
I am he, and he is me. This isn't an ordinary Shakira, this is a time machine.
We have come for you. Death is always more frightening when it strikes invisibly.
Our supreme plan to control the universe.
Yes, I know.
You're wasting my time.
It keeps the
I'm getting bored.
Innocent people on the ground.
It would have been a horrifying experience. This is never scarred a living. They never gave up. Pirates don't give up.
Mayday! Mayday! Engine flame out.
This year, President's Day is going to look a little different. They're waiting for an all-American.
Say something already.
On Matt TV Select on Widow TV. Never leave the track. Celebrate red, white, blue, grassroots racing on America's most iconic tracks. Pavement, dirt. Spend the holiday with non-stop action. This country's legendary four-wheel battle. The All-American Racing President's Day Marathon. All day.
Say something already.
Select on Pluto TV. There's a whole apartment on the other side of the world. This is my adventures. This is right here.
You're wasting my time.
Don't worry, I'll have you. You're going to have a wonderful time.
You're wasting my time.
Well, we talked about the Russian weapon development yesterday, and we now have word as to what it is. Space weapons! Yes, Russia has obtained a troubling emergency anti-satellite weapon, the White House says. They're basically saying, like, this is not something that's been deployed. It's a nuclear device that could take out satellites in space. I believe it's the Cloud Golden 9. I guess that helps. They just basically were ripping off the bomb at this point. Good job, Russia. But again, like, very suspicious of the timing of this release. Again, is this something that we should think about and make sure we try to prevent in every way we can? Of course.
Say something.
The fact that we're in the middle of, hey, we need $60 billion to stop Russia and we get this information, not exactly a coincidence, I don't think. More news from the Trump world. Trump's New York hush money case will start on March 25th. It's the first of his criminal trials. This is the New York one, probably the weakest of all the cases by a significant amount. And I don't think it's going to make much of an impact. It's about 40 days away. That's jury selection. But this is going to be right in the middle of all this, and I don't know how often he's going to have to be there. It's going to be hard for him to campaign. They're just trying to. This is obviously a play to try to win the election. He may wind up getting convicted of this, but he'll have appeals and all of these other things.
You're wasting my time.
The more and more I look at the timelines here, the more and more I think this stuff's going to drag out until past a lot of the election deadlines. So maybe it won't be really that impactful. We will see. And Rashida Tlaib. And some people say this is bad news, but I want to present it to you as good news. Rashida Tlaib decided to vote present on a piece of it was a resolution basically in the House that condemned the rape and sexual violence that Hamas leaders ordered. And you might say, well, wait a minute, voting present, that's terrible. What do you mean? She's the only person who did it. She voted present. It was 418 to nothing was the vote. I mean, all they're saying is rape is bad, and she only voted present. But honestly, I think that's a real improvement to where I thought she was on this issue. I thought she'd be the one voting for it and saying it's good. So the fact that she's just neutral on rape and murder is actually an improvement from where I thought Rashida Tlaib was, at least as it applies to Jews. That seems to be her generalized position. Whatever we can do to make their lives a little bit worse is good. So, the fact that she actually is stepping up and saying, hey, I'm just neutral on all that rape is a step in the right direction.
You got to see the people still with us. To discover all the places that make us feel something.
Every Mazda is built around you, including our certified pre-owned CUVs. Each one puts safety first. Each one puts ethos inspected and backed by our comprehensive warranties. Stop in today and pick up a certified Mazda.
Discover an exceptional offer on Mazda certified pre-owned vehicles. Kenny Ross Mazda.
Dad, can you borrow your hat?
Happy New Year! Have you thought about new auto insurance? Auto insurance with the coolest around.
Say something already.
This year, there's things.
Upgrade. NGM, the top-rated service at great rates.
You guys got any hot cocoa?
No cables or mascots, just great insurance. NGM.
Look, fans, take the court with Caesars Sportsbook. Place your pregame bets now. Build parlays and same-game parlays. And combine them into super parlays for
I'm getting bored.
payouts. And with BetKicks, Caesars turns the biggest stories in the game into pre-built parlays you can just tap right into. So don't just watch basketball. Download Caesars Sportsbook and experience it like never before. Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards.
This car was found in the air.
I'm getting bored.
Nobody's doing it.
3 days, you come upset. You can't lie.
If my new deodorant, you watch me put it on.
That was 72 hours ago. Who were you with?
We didn't swim the snow. The things I did to get back.
I'm getting bored.
It smells nice.
Hold on, I get tickles.
3, 2, 1.
I wanted to share the story until my baby father faked his death. He's like, girl,
You're wasting my time.
Ultimately, instead of having your routine investment, no less.
He's the only person who said to my life, every mile of your life was waiting. You're like, I'm done waiting.
Welcome to Deep Space Nine. The sweets are way down. There's a whole new quantum of the
Say something already.
This is my adventures. This is my heroes. Guys, keep me on position. This is Starfleet. I can't think of higher praise. Don't worry, Doctor. We're going to have a wonderful time.
You're wasting my time. Say something already.
Well, we have a brand new show on the Blaze. Yes, Blaze TV has Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered. I was telling her, were you filtered before this? Because I can see like you being filtered. But this is apparently her Unfiltered, which, if you know anything about Sarah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered is happening right before this show on Blaze TV. You can check it out 7 p.m. Eastern every night, and make sure you check it out there or on her YouTube page. Follow her, subscribe. It's a great show. I was able to hop on.
You're wasting my time.
Earlier this week. We had a great time talking to her, as always. Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered, only on Blaze TV.
I know who wrote the Super Bowl
counted your
script.
cards?
Satan wrote the
You
Super
don't know
Bowl
what you
script.
can have.
It went
Make
just
bacon.
as he planned. For those of you
salad.
that have Taylor Swift derangement syndrome and who were predicting that the Chiefs were going to win the
Say
Super Bowl,
something already.
you're right, but you're wrong. I don't know if this was some pre-planned script or whatever. I don't know if the NFL was in on it, but I do believe Satan was in on it because that was a bad Super Bowl. That was a comedy script. That was probably written by Jerry Seinfeld. Mo, Larry, and Curly played the lead roles. That was not a good football game. Super Bowl 58, Kansas City Chiefs win 25-22 in overtime. It's probably going to set all sorts of ratings records because the Swifties were there and CBS promoted the heck out of it and NFL promoted it last season. That was not good football. That was a bad game that was decided by a bunch of errors. What's the highlight of that Super Bowl last night? Probably Travis Kelce shoving Andy Reid. Probably Christian McCaffrey's fumble. Probably that muff punt that turned the game against San Francisco. Probably Kyle Shanahan abandoning his running game. This game was defined by errors, bad TV commercials that he gets us, secular garbage, and Ice Spice in Taylor Swift's suite.
doing demonic hand gestures and wearing an upside-down cross. This was a horrible Super Bowl. Written by Satan.
Thanks a lot. Let's have your peanuts.
I'm getting bored.
Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. We have a fantastic show planned for you today. Coach JB is going to be here. Steve Kim will be here. Shamika Michelle will be here. TJ Moe will be here. We will replay and re-talk about the Super Bowl yesterday, won by the Kansas City Chiefs in what I thought was a terrible game. I'm glad the Chiefs won. I'm a Chiefs fan. That's great, but that game was boring and bad. But boy, do I have good news for you and us. This episode is brought to you by our good friends at Good Ranchers. Can you believe it? Good Ranchers is back. Guess who's back? Good Ranchers is back. Fall in love with beef, chicken, and seafood all over again. By subscribing at GoodRanchers.com, use my promo code FEARLESS to get $240 in free bacon with your order. Our great friends at Good Ranchers, they're back. I am so thrilled, so excited. Today's show off on such an amazing note with the Good Ranchers hopping back on board. But we're going to have a provocative conversation about the Super Bowl and the Kansas City Chiefs winning their third Super Bowl, I believe, in 5 years. Patrick Mahomes moving himself higher and higher and higher into the GOAT conversation. Andy Reid doing the exact same thing. Kyle Shanahan involved in his third Super Bowl choke job. He's blown 3 double-digit leads in the Super Bowl. The head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. They led by 10. They stuck with the running game.
I'm getting
probably
bored.
Could have got up to 17 points on the Kansas City Chiefs, but Kyle Shanahan involved in his third. 2 is the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. 1 is the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons when they blew a 25-point lead to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Kyle Shanahan's got some explaining to do. He is a great young coach, but his ego or something gets in the way, and he chokes in big games, and he did again last night. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Ice Spice. What the heck was Ice Spice doing with Taylor Swift? Why was she making these demonic hand gestures and all of that? Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We have a fantastic show planned for you. JB's just around the corner. Before we get to JB, I want to talk to you guys about bank on yourself. Are you being lied to? Wall Street tells you to put your money in an IRA or 401k. They say that risking your life savings in the Wall Street casino is a secure investment for the future. Yet studies show the average American who follows that advice will outlive their savings by 10 years. Bank on yourself is a better way to grow and protect your hard-earned money. This retirement alternative has never had a losing year in over 160 years. With Bank on Yourself, your plan doesn't go backwards when the markets tumble. Your principal and growth are locked in. You'll know the minimum guaranteed value of your retirement savings on the day you plan to tap into them and at every point along the way. And you'll know what your tax rate will be in retirement. 0 under current tax law, which protects you from the coming tax time. You get access to your money for any purpose with no questions asked and without government penalties or restrictions on how much income you can take or when you can take it. Try doing that with a 401k or an IRA. You can. This is the strategy famous businesses like McDonald's have used, and almost anyone can do it. Your money is guaranteed to grow by a larger dollar amount every single year in both good times and bad. You want guaranteed predictable annual growth, control of your money, and tax-free retirement income? You go to bankonyourself.com/fearless, and we'll send you a free report with a full retirement plan alternative that banks and Wall Street are desperately hoping you never hear about. Just go to bankonyourself.com/fearless for your free report. bankonyourself.com/fearless. Don't go anywhere. JB, Jason Brown.
I'm getting bored.
The best things in life take time. The Republic of Tea brings great taste to you, using the highest quality ingredients sourced from the finest tea gardens and farms in the world, and delicious flavor combinations that we have developed over 3 decades. like ginger peach, blueberry lavender, and orange.
I'm getting bored.
For your sipping delight, take the time. Enjoy the cup. Sip by sip. We all have an inner critic, but we have the power to quiet it. The inner critic can crush our confidence. But we can
I'm getting bored.
Introducing the Joy Project, our commitment to spread
Good boy,
joy.
Peaches.
First step, quieting our inner critic. Let's go, Mom. Yeah. Helping others do the same. Great. I think that color will look gorgeous on you. Join us at Sears. Your teeth will make that get better.
I'm getting bored.
Colgate Optic White Pro Series toothpaste aiding that skin sack is not just 2 weeks. Even if that's the brightest. Colgate Optic White. They say beauty is in the eye.
You're wasting my time.
And there's nothing more beautiful than our Earth. With Earth Day 365, we embrace nature's amazing diversity. We celebrate the heroes who unlock its mysteries and protect its future. Explore the world every day on Earth Day 365.
Say something already. Say something already. You're wasting my time. You're wasting my time.
All right, well, Matt, time for some Coach JB.
I'm
do I
getting
want to start by feeding JB a plate of crow, or do I want to start by asking JB whether this Super Bowl was any good or not? I'm gonna save the best for last. Before I serve the Patrick Mahomes crow, JB, let's start here. Was that a good football game we watched last night?
No, it was
Say
horrific.
something already.
I was walking around my Super Bowl party, Steve, Kim, and many others, and I'm like, is this a good game, Steve? And they're like, looking at me, and I'm like, name me a play that stuck out. That you're like, oh, wow, great game, great play. You saw a gimmick play you had to design for CMC, and that was basically the oohs and the ahs
Say
you got.
something
There
already.
wasn't a touchdown over 21 yards in the football game. And I think this is the norm. This is what we are accustomed to seeing now, especially this season. It was the worst football season I've been a part of in 48 years. So it was rough to watch, man. I'll be honest. I think mediocrity is the new excellence. And I think people see a close game and automatically
I'm
think
getting
it's
bored.
good. And I think the betting world has ruined the sport. And I say that for this reason, Jason. Fantasy fans that play DraftKings and all these betting apps, they're fanboys. And Patrick Mahomes will get them 47 points on their draft board and their fantasy
Say
board.
something already.
And then the fans think that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest thing ever. But they haven't watched it down on film like I did. And they automatically think that Mahomes got them 47 points. They automatically think these guys are the greatest. And that is the problem we're seeing. It's true, and I've broken it down. It's bad
Say
to watch
something
right
already.
now.
There is no highlight play. There is no great catch. There is no great run where someone broke 3 tackles and picked up the first down. There is no circus play, I don't think, from Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy escaping trouble and hitting someone down the field on some critical third down play or fourth down play. There is no signature. The signature moments are the fumbles, the buff punt, Travis Kelce going after Andy Reid. Those are the commercials, he gets his commercial. Those are the signature, most memorable moments from this game. I can't remember a Super Bowl. There's no incredible fourth down stop. I don't know what the signature play is other than a bunch of errors that include Kyle Shanahan's, coaching era where he's now given up 3 double-digit leads, or been a part of giving up 3 double-digit leads in the Super Bowl. That's kind of what this Super Bowl is going to be remembered for, or I guess Patrick Mahomes' third Super Bowl, Andy Reid's third Super Bowl. But this was not a great football game. When I was on your show earlier this morning, you asked me a phenomenal question. What happened yesterday? Did Kyle Shanahan blow another game, or did Andy Reid demonstrate his coaching brilliance again? What do you think was most powerful, Andy Reid's brilliance or Kyle Shanahan's?
You're wasting my time.
Negligence, willingness to abandon the run.
So Eric Weddle came on. We had a loaded show. I appreciate you coming on today. We broke this down. Super Bowl champs, Greg Townsend, Eric Weddle, Tank Johnson, who've been in the Super Bowl. They all were like the same thing. You and I discussed this morning. 9-2-3. Remember that number?
I'm getting bored.
9 passes to 3 runs to start the second half for Mike Shanahan, or Kyle Shanahan. 9-3. When you control the line of scrimmage, you get CMC more than 21 touches in a game of this magnitude, who makes $30 million, by the way. You're paying a guy $30 million. I would probably feed him and feed him and feed him and carry this thing on the back. Because to be honest with you, CMC get 1 vote for the MVP is a travesty in its own right. That's a whole other discussion. But we clearly think that CMC carries the load on that team, correct? I think you would take CMC over Brock Purdy to carry the roster and the load, because we've seen when CMC goes out of the game, what happens to that Niners offense. And we also see Debo and Ayuk going out. We see again why this quarterback is being sprinkled out there as a game manager, not a game changer. Well, we clearly saw that last night. Purdy didn't play horribly bad, but he didn't make any plays to win a game. And that's what the greats do. And Shanahan just continues to do things that we wonder, like, this guy should have 3 Super Bowls and probably 4 as a coordinator if you really just run the football. It's really that simple. And it blows my mind that we continue to see him do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different result, which is the definition of insanity. So I'm confused as to why people think this guy is any good. I think he's a hype and a bust. I've been saying it for years. He blows every big game. He has an incredible roster. If you compare the 2 rosters, their roster it's not even close. From linebacker to D-line to pass rusher to running back to receivers. Kittle is very comparable if you want to compare him to Kelce. He's a better all-around tight end, in my opinion, as an inline blocker. Much better than Kelce. Kelce wants no part of that. And you don't give him the ball, Jason? You don't feed Kittle the ball at all with a quarterback that we're all calling a game manager? Guess who helps game managers? Tight ends. They're close to the best. They're close to the line of scrimmage. It's easier throws. It's a safety net for my quarterback who's inexperienced. Why don't we get Kittle the ball? I think Kittle had 13 targets the entire playoff run. 3 games, Jason. 13 targets. I don't think he had 100 yards. And I am shocked that we continue to call Shanahan a guru. I just don't get it. I said it months ago, Jason, and I said Lynch and Shanahan are failing at a miserable rate because this roster, top to bottom, has probably been the best over the last 3 or 4 years. They have nothing to show for it. and it's like putting hubcaps on a Rolls Royce. The hubcap is Brock Purdy, and you dropped the ball when you could not go get Aaron Rodgers, because I don't want to hear salary cap being the issue. Oh, this is not how salary cap works, JB. Really? Well, how'd the Rams do it and win a Super Bowl? How'd the Bucks do it and win a Super Bowl? How'd the Chiefs done it for 3 years out of 4 years and paid a guy $500 million and done it?
I'm getting bored.
There's ways to manipulate the cap and move it around and get you a superstar at that position. They failed. Garoppolo, Trey Lance, and now Brock Purdy. Listen, we know Brock Purdy's story. Mr. Irrelevant, first time could have won the Super Bowl and all that, but he didn't. He did it, and that's who he is. And he's in by a hell of a roster, Jason. And this shows you who he really is. You got to have a superstar at quarterback, Jason. Look at the league. Who wins?
Cam Newton's winning right now. He's gloating and saying, I told y'all he was a game manager and y'all overreacted. I know someone who probably should be wearing a Chiefs team building t-shirt right now, who is ordered up a big helping of humble pie, some crow here. Are you ready to crown Patrick Mahomes as a great, great quarterback? It's 3 Super Bowls, JB, 2 MVPs, 3 Super Bowl MVPs.
I'm getting bored.
JB. Listen, it comes with a sad heart. It comes with a sad heart to me. I was in a no-win situation. I'm a Ram LA guy. 49ers in the Northern California hated ones. I couldn't get out of there with them winning. Then I got this fan base, you know, obviously I got a million DMs right now. Everybody wants to do everything to me, right? So anyway, listen, I believe that I stand for what, like, exemplifies Jason Whitlock. Stand for what you stand for. Speak your mind. Speak for who you are. I think I should do that. I do that for everybody. Am I supposed to jump on the bandwagon of this guy because others say so? See, I watch film and break it down. Listen, can we be fair on this show right now? Can there be 2 things that are true? Can he be a hell of a great winning quarterback, but not a great, great quarterback? Is there such a thing? Do you think I can even bring that up? Can I say that, Jason? Because right now he's a winning guy.
I'm getting bored.
No question. He's winning. But is he really great? That's his first 300-yard Super Bowl. Took him overtime to get it. Yeah, he's barely thrown more touchdowns than picks in his 4 Super Bowls. He's been the most underachieving quarterback to win Super Bowls in those particular 4 games. And I can't put him as the GOAT or even in a conversation when you lost to a 40-year-old Tom Brady 3 times. And that wasn't even the good Tom Brady, Jason. That was the bad Tom Brady over the hill. So I can't put him in that category of greatness. Now, he's tied Troy Aikman, one of my all-time favorites. He's tied him with 3 Super Bowls.
You're wasting my time.
He's up in the top conversation now, chasing Bradshaw, Montana, and those guys. So he's 28, Jason. All I can do is eat crow as the years go by. But I think it's fair to give a guy 10 to 12 years of greatness before we anoint him on this Mount Rushmore. That's all I'm saying.
You're wasting my time.
I got a very interesting take before you go back and try to attack me on this. There's 3 guys on that roster. I'm going to give them to you. Please put them in order. Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, Patrick Mahomes. Go.
I would go.
Say something already.
You should be able to say Mahomes right away if he's that great.
No, because Andy Reid, everywhere he goes, I think I can play quarterback for Andy Reid. Everywhere he goes. So I put Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and then Spagnuolo. But putting Patrick Mahomes a cut below Andy Reid, that's no insult. Andy Reid
say something already.
May end up being the best of the best. He may pull off a 3-peat, which has never been done in the NFL. And you know, he wins with everybody. But I don't think that's any slight, saying that Andy Reid, I'd put a slight cut above Patrick Mahomes at this point.
I'm getting bored.
I agree. I mean, Andy's, to me, one of the top 3 ever. I think he's the best play caller ever, especially as a head coach and play caller. I think he's the best ever. I don't know if he's announced he's coming back or not. I know you on the show today. Three-peat in the loom here is hard to turn down. I've seen it before though, where guys walk away on top. I wouldn't be shocked either. But I think he'd come back to try to get the three-peat. But after Kelsey hits him and the Swifties and all this drama that you have to deal with now, and we're seeing coaches mass exodus college football. We're trying to. I think coaches realize this is a harder and harder game to coach because of the player empowerment we have and allow now. We've allowed it instead of coached it. Travis Kelsey bumping that guy like that hurts my eyes and heart to see that. I just can't fathom the player empowerment.
Hold for a second, JB. You're getting ahead of me. You're getting because I'm.
Get to good.
Say something already.
That better have babies. Goodies fast.
Golden Track calls Mazda a unique blend of quality, reliability, and style. But what we would like to know.
You're wasting my time.
What will you say?
Take advantage of this exceptional offer.
We all have an inner critic, but we have the power to quiet it.
You're wasting my time.
Crush our confidence. But we can hit back. Introducing the Joy Project, our commitment to spreading joy. First step, quieting our inner critics. Let's go, Mom. Yeah. Helping others do the same.
Great. I knew that color would look gorgeous on it.
Join us at Readers.
I'm getting bored.
When you shop Amazon.com, does it change your mind for a new seller like Henry? Her business grew. Henry was too proud to get orders. Then she got a load from Amazon for her space and staff. Giving back has always been our culture at Mouser Subaru. During the Subaru Loves to Help initiative,
you're wasting my time.
Operation Warm to provide helps, shoes, and socks to those experiencing homelessness. At Mouser Subaru, our hope is that these essential items will not only keep those in urgent need protected, warm, and dry, but that it can have a significant impact on their mental and emotional well-being. Mouser Subaru, more than a car dealer. Visit MouserSubaru.com.
You're wasting my time.
I am he, and he is me.
This is an important mission because this is a time machine.
We have come for you. This is always more fighting when it strikes invisibly.
I'm getting bored.
Oh, yes, I know. It keeps the
I'm getting bored. I'm getting bored.
There was disaster for a lot of innocent people on the ground.
It would have been a horrifying experience. This is never started.
I'm getting bored.
Mayday! Mayday!
Engine flame out.
JB, now I want to move to Travis Kelsey running up on Andy Reid. I thought this was incredible. Seeing it, I thought I was blown away that Jim Nantz and Tony Romo just kind of blew past it and didn't dwell on it. I was really shocked at halftime when it wasn't discussed, and Nate Burleson for some reason jumped in and stopped anybody from talking about it. Players are just completely protected. There is no standard of behavior that we hold them to. You just take it all. They make more money than the coaches. The media is all on their side. You can't question. You can't criticize them.
You're a sellout. You're Uncle Tom. You're a player hater. Everything's hate. If you criticize any player, Travis Kelce deserves some criticism. I thought yesterday, the Chiefs played without composure, and I think Travis was a big part of that. They got away with it because San Francisco blew the game. But your thoughts seeing Travis Kelce nearly shove over one of the greatest coaches in NFL history?
I just have a thing, like, where's the integrity of the actual person? Like, the humans that walk the earth now have lost their way. We have no integrity anymore. We have no self-respect. We don't respect ourselves. How are we going to respect someone like Andy Reid? We already know what Kelce's about and what he's done. People call him sell out, whatever they want to do. He has no self-respect because you can't have self-respect and go out and laugh and then expect him to respect Andy Reid or any other figure, father figure, mentor, or coach for that matter. There's no pecking order. There's no hierarchy anymore, Jason. This is a player empowerment-driven profession. Basketball, NBA, football, NFL, baseball, you name it. We've given them so much money, and we started with an inch. They took a foot. We gave them a yard. Now they took a mile.
You're wasting my time.
And that is where we are in this whole thing. And it's hard to watch because without hierarchy, we know we wouldn't have government. We wouldn't have anything. And this is the same for football. It's the same for professional sports. This guy thinks he's bigger than the team, and he can do what he wants because no one's going to do anything. I got a very interesting deal on this, though. They didn't talk about that. They literally just talk over it like nothing happened. Just slap in the face to the coaching profession and a legend, the guy that stuck up for you, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, by the way, that you just slapped in the face, basically. But McCall Hardman won the game.
Say something
and
already.
I would ask you what was worse. The Kelce thing not being discussed as basically being a piece of you-know-what, or McCall Hardman, who was with the Jets earlier, who was with the Chiefs last few years, comes back to the Chiefs, wins the game, and they go to Taylor Swift in the press box. They don't even go and discuss the fact of what this guy just did to win a Super Bowl, how he came back from the Jets, how he sacrificed and did all this. He scores and they go straight up to Swift. And I'm like, what part of the game is this? Like, why are we not showcasing this guy for winning the game and showing Andy Reid and showing all this?
I got an answer. Because they know the game is trash, so they're not trying to put a lot of attention and focus on the game. Everything is about the ancillary stuff. Everything's about who was there. Just like Nate Burrow said at the beginning, Jay-Z, the greatest rapper alive, and here's LeBron, here's this person, that person, here's Luke Combs. And this is what drove me crazy about the NBA. It became more about who was sitting courtside than who was actually playing on the court.
I'm getting bored.
It's why the NBA is such trash, and it's just a highlight maybe that you put out social media clips. No one really watches, no one pays attention. The NFL's headed the exact same direction. We're not paying attention because of fantasy, because of gambling, and because of, it's just a fun, it's a party. But the actual content is no good. It's not, and I'm not trying to disrespect the players that are playing now, but when people were watching that game last night, if you couldn't see, that was the sloppiest Super Bowl that perhaps I've ever seen. That there were no winning plays. There were plays of people giving the game away, but no one actually went out and took that game. And they don't want you talking, focusing on any of that because they know the product's no good. It's like a woman that wraps a sweater around her vest and ties it around her hips. She's trying to conceal that, I'm carrying an extra 20, 25 pounds. It's not a fashion statement. It's done to conceal them extra pounds she's holding on her hips. And that's what you got going on in the NFL.
Let me ask you this real quick. Mahomes has basically stopped others from getting rings. That's what he's done. That's where I will say he's winning. He's taking rings away from others. Flip side, though, if Shanahan's not incompetent as a head coach, if Andy Reid's the 49ers head coach, they would have took 2 rings from Mahomes. Mahomes lost to Brady. He'd have 1 ring, possibly, out of 4 appearances. Let's just be honest. If Shanahan runs the football, we're talking about a complete different narrative. We're talking about Mahomes being a bust. So the line is very...
How about him being a bust?
Maybe not a bust. I'll retract. Maybe not a bust. But we're talking about a guy who's underachieved. That's what we're saying about Shanahan. I mean, we're saying if Mahomes only won 1 Super Bowl out of 4, Jason, what would we
That's not underachieving. That's not underachieving. 1 Super Bowl is not underachieving.
He's a winning guy.
He won the #1 overall pick, JB.
No, but
Peyton Manning only won 2 Super Bowls, right?
Who?
Peyton Manning only won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, and his stats weren't great.
1 Super Bowls is hard.
It is. That's why Eli's 2-0. Eli's 2-0.
JB, I'm gonna let you go. Until next year, until we feed you some more crow. Are you watching any of the women's college basketball? Are you watching Caitlin Clark? I may have to bring you on to talk about that. Her coach. This is fascinating. You need to be paying attention. This is great. She's great content. Her coach, Lisa Bluter at Iowa, made a fool of herself after blowing that game. She wanted Caitlin Sunday to move the game. She wants Caitlin Clark to break the scoring record at home.
I'm getting bored.
The first half of the 4th quarter, she held Caitlin Clark back, and that ended up costing them the game. And then Lisa Bluter melted down after the anyway. I'm rambling. I'm big into this one. I'm big into the Caitlin Clark story. I'll bring you on to talk about it some point. JB. All right, thank you, JB. Great job.
You're wasting my time.
Always. Hey, guys, I want to talk to you guys about June 1st and Roll Call 2.0. Growth requires sacrifice will be our theme for Roll Call 2.0 this summer, June 1st, right back here in Nashville. We're excited to welcome you. Make sure you get your tickets right now. Roll Call 2.0 event at Rocketown in Nashville, Tennessee, Saturday, June 1st, 2024. Go to fearlessarmyrollcall.com. Hey, we got some great speakers coming in. The Friday VIP event on May 31st is going to be phenomenal. We got some athletes coming in. You guys don't want to miss Roll Call 2.0. It's going to be bigger and better than last year. Roll Call 2.0. Go to fearlessarmyrollcall.com. Start getting your tickets now. It's going to be phenomenal. Steve Kim and Brian Cosell next.
Just like that. The #1 trusted black eyed remover. Be alright. Ever since I
Say something already.
Oh my gosh. How is this stuff so good? Hidden Valley Ranch. Next. Stop. You got it? Let's go back to the beginning.
You're wasting my time.
Electric future. Customized. Fully electric Audi Q4 e-tron.
Say something already. I'm getting bored. Say something already.
They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and there's nothing more beautiful than our Earth. With Earthday 365, we embrace nature's amazing diversity. We celebrate the heroes who are lost in mysteries and protect us.
I'm getting bored.
Explore the world every day. Our Earth 365.
Say something already.
Those disasters for a lot of innocent people on the ground.
It would have been a horrifying experience. This is indescribable. They never gave up. Pilots don't give up. Mayday! Mayday! Engine flame out.
Say something already. Say something already.
Alright, welcome back. Time for some Korean Cosell, Steve Kim. Steve, I want to start here with, I don't even know if it's questions for
I'm getting bored.
Super Bowl sucked, Steve. It was not a good game. Your thoughts?
You know,
Alright, welcome back. Time for some Korean Cosell, Steve.
You're wasting my time.
Steve, I want to start here with, I don't even know if it's questions for the statement. Super Bowl sucked, Steve. It was not a good game. Your thoughts?
you know, it kind of reminded me, like, as a kid, before, we were fully formed, young adults.
Say something already.
You ever seen that really bad, boring movie? But then at the end, it had a lot of gratuitous nudity, which we'd never seen before. But it was at the end. So at the end of it, we're like, you know what? That movie got good, right? And you're just talking about it, like, I go see that again.
You're wasting my time.
And for the most part, you take away the last 10 minutes or so, was very, very mediocre.
Say
a lot
something
of conversation right now about Patrick Mahomes, and he's in the GOAT conversation. Where do you have Patrick Mahomes among the all-time great quarterbacks? Has he now surpassed Joe Montana, and everybody but Tom Brady?
Can I go to
You're wasting my time.
Go to Montana? Montana? You kidding me? Montana? No, not yet. Now, is he in the top 10? Yes. Is he trending in a certain direction? Yes. But need I remind you of this? And Warren Sapp's going to hate this. But if you look at Troy Aikman's first, 5-6 years, he had 3 Super Bowls, right? He was the leader of a dynasty. And then Jimmy Johnson left his life, and it was never really quite the same. And the second half of his career, I've heard Troy Aikman say, as much as I enjoyed the first 5 or 6 years, I was absolutely frustrated just as much by the second half of it. So let's see this play out. But is Mahomes trending into the Mount Rushmore discussion? Sure he is. But again, let's see how the rest of his career plays out. He's only about halfway through, if that.
All right, same question about Andy Reid. Where do you have him? Is he on your Mount Rushmore?
Yes, I may have to carve out that body of his. Maybe the stomach part. I'm just telling you, if you look at this is different with Andy Reid, though, because he's very much near the tail end. But if you look at his overall run with the Eagles, which I think was very successful, and capping it off with some Lombardi trophies at the end. And Jason, I don't know if you agree or disagree with me or not. I thought this year was the best job of coaching he ever did. This was not a great Chiefs offense. They didn't have a lot of weapons. They had a lot of issues. And I know it's not easy for coaches like him to do.
but he changed his identity because he likes to be fancy, throwing the ball all over the place.
You're wasting my time.
They became more or less a methodical, running offense for the most part. They scaled it down, and they got Patrick Mahomes to more or less be an ultra-talented game manager who made some great plays. So there's no doubt about it that if you want to put Andy Reid in that pantheon of Chuck Noll, Vince Lombardi, Bill Walsh, certainly, I would not disagree.
You left off Bill Belichick and you left off Joe Gibbs. It's very tough to get on Mount Rushmore.
It is. And look, man, Twitter was all over you for not knowing that Joe Gibbs in a 9-year stretch won 3 Super Bowls with 3 quarterbacks who did not make the Hall of Fame. And I think that is one of the most difficult things to do because what separates Gibbs is every great coach is basically married to a great quarterback. Like Lombardi had Bart Starr, Landry had Staubach, Chuck Noll had Bradshaw, Bill Walsh had Joe Montana, Belichick had Brady.
I'm getting bored.
And when it comes to plug and play, if you want to call it that, just look at what Joe Gibbs did. What he did may be unmatched, but going back to Andy Reid, great success.
You mentioned Don Shula.
Don Shula had Bob Greasy, never got over the top of Dan Marino because they were half a football team. But let's take a look at Andy Reid.
You're wasting my time.
Donovan McNabb, I thought, had a really good career, made a lot of Pro Bowls. I know people are derisive of Donovan McNabb. I have a very positive view of his career. They made a Super Bowl, they made a lot of NFC Championship games, and they did not have a lot of talent outside. They did that with James Thrash, Freddie Mitchell, and Todd Pinkston. Not exactly Mike Quick and Harold Carmichael out there for the Eagles. Then you go to the Chiefs. Look, Alex Smith was not, I would call him bust. He kind of had that last good run with Harbaugh and the Niners. But Alex Smith, I believe, would tell you that, you know what, I am very grateful that I walked into Kansas City and had Andy Reid and they had a lot of success. And with Patrick Mahomes, let's be honest, let's not do revisionist history. Patrick Mahomes was not a top 5 pick. There were still some questions whether he could play from that Texas Tech run and gun, that big spread they played. But this one is guaranteed. Death, taxes, and the Kansas City Chiefs, with those two at least getting to the AFC Championship game.
Time.
It's an amazing run.
It's an incredible run. The other question now, moving to the other side, is are there legitimate questions about Kyle Shanahan in big games? Is that narrative?
Jason, I came away thinking, I tweeted in the first quarter, the Niners look like a much better team, but it's 0-0. And there's a phrase, and I heard this from Mario Cristobal at Miami, and he said, I don't think there's no such thing as a little thing. A thing is a thing. It all matters. And when I look at this game, and I'm not a 49er fan, I had no horse in the race yesterday.
Say something already.
I keep thinking about the first drive. You're driving, you're running well. Christian McCaffrey fumbles. Second drive, really good field position. Penalties blow you up. Then you have the situation with the punt. I don't know if you call it a muff, but they turned the ball over on that. I thought where the game could have really been controlled by the Niners, Jason, beginning of the second half, you have an interception and you stop the Chiefs. You had good field position each time. And Eric Weddle pointed this out on the Coach JB show. For all those people that say, well, Christian McCaffrey still had nearly 30 touches, I'd say you're right. But here's the problem, Jason. Right after that half, when the offense stalled, you know they basically went pass, kick, pass. They ignored McCaffrey for large stretches. And the inability to get who I believe is the most talented guy, George Kittle, the ball more regularly, unlike Kelsey, who flourished in the second half. And then you had that decision, which is going to be debated forever, with the overtime rules in the Super Bowl to immediately take the ball. Jason, when you have Mahomes and Andy Reid, who started to figure it out, when they made the decision that we're going to get the ball, I said to myself, if they don't score a touchdown, they may lose the game, because it almost felt inevitable that Kansas City was going to score on their last drive.
You're wasting my time.
Well, Steve, what's incredible about that decision is he's giving Andy Reid and Mahomes an extra down. Now that they're going second, they know, hey, I'm going to go for it on fourth down.
Right.
And it's an unbelievably stupid decision, but
I'm getting bored.
Not getting talked about. The other thing that I do think is worthy of conversation is Brock Purdy, and the world may owe Cam Newton an apology because Brock Purdy's numbers look good, but he looked like a game man. When their third down conversions were horrible. They put a little pressure on Brock Purdy, and he got that ball out of his hands really quickly and not to good places most of the time. I think they were 3 of 16 or something like that, maybe 3 of 12 on third downs. The disparity on third down between the Chiefs and the 49ers is what decided the game beyond the turnovers. And I think a lot of that falls on Brock Purdy. The moment looked too big for him. He looked like a game manager. Put up nice numbers, but did not make the critical plays.
Jason, I don't say this as a pejorative or a criticism of Brock Purdy. He's a really solid system quarterback. But as Cam Newton mentioned, he manages a game, and every quarterback has to manage a game. But one thing that's been evident in this playoffs, there are certain throws he cannot make. He has very limited arm talent. And the other thing is, and you got to give Spagnuolo a lot of credit, the Chiefs' defensive coordinator. I thought he did an excellent job of making sure that the bootleg action when he roll out, you saw the lack of or limited athleticism in Brock Purdy. That the ability to extend plays consistently the way Mahomes can and does, that breaks the back of a defense, was not there. And you're absolutely right. I do believe that Brock Purdy, when everything is perfect,
I'm getting bored.
Run the offense. He's a really, really good conductor. The difference that I saw in both quarterbacks, and Mahomes had to face a really good front four yesterday that played really well for about 90% of that game, is that the extra ability to extend a play, extend a drive, use his legs, and just make it happen somehow when everything's not perfect.
You're wasting my time.
I thought was the huge difference. But Jason, again, go back to that stretch of time where McCaffrey was kind of ignored. I felt as though, look, if that is your easiest way to get the ball, it's one of your premier weapons is to hand it off, just keep doing it, because I've seen games where the run game gets stopped early. But there is an erosion. You body punch a team enough and put enough snaps on their defense, they will start to bend. And I don't think Shanahan did a great job of allowing his offensive line overall to body punch Chris Jones and his guys up front.
I'm getting bored.
My name's Eric. I am 39 years old. I've started thinking about getting Botox Cosmetic for the last couple of years. I just see myself on video calls all day, and I really start noticing the lines.
You're wasting my time.
I'm still Eric, and I got Botox Cosmetic. I'm seeing a lot less prominent lines than I did before. The results have been subtle but noticeable. Botox Cosmetic is FDA approved to temporarily remove frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines like that. The effects of Botox Cosmetic can spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Let your doctor right away if difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Do not receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow, eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Tell your doctor about your medical history, muscle and nerve conditions, and medications including botulinum toxins that can increase the risk of serious side effects.
Say something already.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
If you struggle with seatbelt, you should check out Inspire. No mask, no pose, just sleep. Inspire. Learn more and view important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
Welcome to
I'm getting bored.
We have great bird watching and Amazon Warehouse with healthcare on day one and free tech training programs. Good for employees, good for Fall River. Good spot.
Keep your Subaru running strong and bring it to the Bowser Subaru Service Center. From tires, brakes, to intricate equipment, the genuine Subaru parts that your vehicle needs. Want same-day service? Our express team can perform oil changes, tire rotations, and multi-point inspections. No appointment needed. Experience why so many people trust Bowser Subaru for their service needs. Whether it's a routine service or a major repair, our service team will get the job done while providing outstanding customer service. Go to BowserSubaru.com.
You're wasting my time. I'm getting bored.
All right, welcome back. Time for a little Super Bowl halftime with Shamika Michelle. Shamika, did you enjoy the football game? Not the halftime. Did you enjoy the football game? Do you care about football at all?
I don't care about it to the extent that you all do, but I watched it. I mean, I thought it was, okay. I thought the Chiefs were going to win, though, because I thought it was rigged. I'm one of those. But I did watch it.
All right, so I'm sure you watched halftime. What did you think of
Say something already.
Usher Raymond, the entertainer who's far superior to Chris Brown? What did you think of Usher Raymond's halftime performance?
Look, Chris Brown is so awesome. You just had to mention him, right? And take a little shine from Usher. So I actually thought Usher did a great job. I was very proud of him. For a lot of his career, I was kind of missing. I remember him doing, from when he started out to maybe up until Nice and Slow. But then I was in the church for 10 years, so a lot of his music I kind of missed. But I thought that he did a really good job. If I had to say anything negative, I did not like the stripper pose. I understand that they were claiming they brought the world to Atlanta or Atlanta to the world, whatever. But I didn't like the stripper pose. I thought that could have been left off because, a lot of kids do tune in to the halftime show.
You're wasting my time.
I didn't like the fact that he had his underarms shaved. That's very feminine to me. And so, again, I was thinking, Chris Brown would have never shaved his underarms for the halftime show.
Now, see, that's something that I was completely oblivious to. I did, obviously he took his shirt off, but I did not notice that his underarm hair was MIA. I did not catch that detail.
Yeah, it was gone. And so I saw a few people say, that it was feminine, and I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but I just like hair on men. I prefer hair where it's supposed to be. And so that for me, I was like, yeah, I can kind of see how that's feminine. And when I think about, Alicia Keys, I see that he's getting a lot of pushback for actually going up and giving her that hug from behind. Even Alicia's husband had to come and speak out about it.
You're wasting my time.
I saw nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. Like, I understand she's a married woman, but to me, if you had a problem, you would have had a problem with the song or the video prior to him performing it. And so I just thought all of the pushback from that was silly. When you're an artist and you're performing, you have to have a bit of acting in there. And I'm pretty sure they rehearsed every detail. I'm sure her husband was aware of the movements and things they were going to be doing. And when I see the people arguing about it, I'm just thinking, these are people that have never done anything in life, because here Usher is performing for millions of people. We all saw Alicia in that red outfit, and she looked thick to death, but I doubt he was thinking, let me go get up on her. I'm pretty sure, knowing that this could be a career, make or break, his, thoughts were probably on, let me do a really good job. We saw Janet Jackson's career be pretty much canceled because of a mistake at the Super Bowl. So I just don't think Usher's mind is where a lot of people's minds are. And I'm glad her husband spoke out saying, y'all are thinking about the wrong things.
I
have a suggestion for all future Super Bowl halftimes. Instead of all these little 60-second clips of songs, let someone sink their teeth into a handful of their greatest songs.
You're wasting my time.
And you know, instead of trying to touch on 10 or 12 songs, how about let's hit on 5 or 6 and let's really sink our teeth into the big mega hits? Because I thought, yeah, at the end was clearly the climax. And if they had done that for 4 minutes,
say something.
You know, because I thought Ludacris was great. I thought Little John was great. I thought the energy. I thought that felt like Vegas and a party and the whole nine. But it could have been longer. It's just like me and you were talking before the show. It's like, don't give me 30 seconds of nice and slow. Don't give me. I'm
getting bored.
45 seconds and let it burn. I need more of that. Just stick to the hits. Reduce the library to a handful of songs and lean into those. You know, when I go to a concert and they play my favorite song, I'm never checking my watch. Like, when they gonna move on to the next one?
You're wasting my time.
I want the extended album, the studio version, the version that only his mama's got or his family's got. I want that long, you know, when they lean into a song for a long time. Even like gospel songs, like when Benita Jones sings Waymaker and it's 9 minutes, I'm like, yeah, give me 5 more minutes. Give me 14 minutes.
I'm getting bored.
Anyway, that would be my suggestion for the Super Bowl. On these greatest hits, go longer.
Oh, I totally agree with you. When he did Nice and Slow, I was actually watching the game on TVs that kept buffering. And so we were running as we, you know, during the halftime show, we were running from one spot in the house to a different spot trying to catch, you know, the entire show. And so it started buffering. I thought, oh my God, it buffered and I missed Nice and Slow. But when I went to watch it again, I said, oh, no, he only did that one little line, and I was very disappointed because that's one of my favorites, and I would have loved to hear it for just a little while longer. I remember Usher being sort of, you know, childlike and kiddie, but when he did that, they called me U-S-H-E-R. You know, I remember, you know, my head tilted to the side like, okay, Usher, I see you. So I really wish that song would have been longer. So, yeah, I agree. The whole just, you know, maybe it's the pressure of feeling like I deserve to be here. Let me show you my catalog. But I wish you would have just been confident in I got the job, so I deserve to be here. Let me just play a few of my hits.
You're wasting my time.
I am unashamed. What about you?
Can't defeat sin. Son of Man must suffer.
I'm getting bored.
Be rejected by the elders, chief priests, and kings. And he must be killed. After 3 days, rise again. He spoke plainly about it. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. I mean, the very thing that he did, he was told, I'm going to do this. And every time he opened his mouth,
you're wasting my time.
Luke and John started right halfway. All of it. He said, I'm going to do this. This is what's going to happen. I was just thought. I was just thinking. By the time they get there and it's happening, you can't deal with it. They're like, I guess, you know, we never experienced.
You're wasting my time.
Somebody who was alive, if he died, we went down there, leave, maybe he might show up to. It's tough. It's a tough call.
Well, the other thing with
the human race to say, oh yeah,
we didn't stress it much in the last podcast, but also
they
were so locked in to this being a political overturn. It was hard for them to imagine once he got killed, and once the authorities got him, the feeling of it's over was so strong. They
struggled to believe it. Well, I heard somebody for 3 years, over and over and over, tell them this is what's going to happen.
But
he was nicked, and then they was watching what he was doing, the miracles. It would have been enough for me.
But as you said, though, Dad, you described it in the middle of the gospel, but that had been quite a bit into their ministry, so he didn't really start honing in on the specifics till he got pretty close to the end.
That's right.
So it was still pretty new. I mean, it wasn't like...
It's the same way all the way through.
No, that's right.
He doesn't start to say, I'm going to die, be buried, and raised from the dead, until halfway through the year and a half before he finally started zeroing in on that.
Well, like Jay said in the last
You're wasting my time.
People have been out theorizing what really happened because they can't believe it happened like this is Santa did.
That's right.
So that's where you get the swoon theory. He really didn't die. He just like passed out.
Yeah, they've got one where there's like a hallucination that they all were having mass hallucinations.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is you don't have, one of the points
I'm getting bored.
That's name for Biouniversity. Who talked about this? Greg Hazen. That's his name. But he talked about you don't have groups of 500 people. Like 1 Corinthians 15, he says he appeared to me. He appeared to 12. All the people. They appeared to 500 people.
I'm getting bored.
Most of whom he says are still alive, which that's the dumbest thing to say if you're making something up. Because you tell me, hey, if you write an account, put it in a newspaper, this guy rose from the dead, and he appeared to me, he appeared to a guy named Bill, he appeared to Andy. Oh, Andy appeared to like 500
You're
other
wasting
people.
my
Most
time.
of them are still living in the same town, are still alive. The first question I want to ask is, well, who are they? I mean, so these are details in these accounts where if you're making it up, you're gonna do like at some point, hey, I went to a cave and I got revelation from God, and well, who was there to know it? I'm the only guy in there. Yeah. Because there's no way to prove that wrong, right? I can't prove that wrong. I wasn't in there. I didn't see it. I wasn't a part of it. I either got to take your word for it, or I got to say, I'm not going to believe it because that's even so. But the fact that the testimony of the risen Christ, there were so many witnesses to it. And keep in mind, when Jesus rose from the dead, he didn't just make an appearance and then go. He was on the earth for 40 days. Think about that. I mean, he was walking around. He was making multiple appearances. This type of resurrection is not anything that anybody had a reference point for, which, Bill, to your point, I think the reason why they had a hard time believing it, they just didn't have an imagination. They didn't know what it was. I mean, you're trying to explain something to somebody that they don't have in their mind, they don't have any reference for it. And it's one of those things that you just say, well, you can't really see it until you see it. But once you see it, guess what? You can't unsee it, unsee it. Well, and that's what happened with these guys.
Well, it makes you appreciate Abraham.
Say something already.
God raised the dead when he was asked to sacrifice his son. Yeah. And that's why I brought up this whole deal about where the angels said that they didn't understand that Jesus had to die. And I think there's more going on with Jesus' death, burial, resurrection than we preach on.
You're wasting my time.
Generally, just keep it to he died for our sins. He showed us there's a way, to come back. But I heard a really good sermon on this from Tim Keller. I think it was called Jesus is Vindicated, and you can look it up. But he basically addresses what we're saying. How come
I'm getting bored.
He did a really big take on understanding that Jesus had to die. And basically his point was, it's the love of God, it's the power of God disarming the other powers, being shown because we can't save ourselves. We can't, there's nothing we can do that can fix corruption and transformation, or whatever word you want to say. It makes you feel smaller and it makes him feel bigger. For based on his love, he comes down to do this. But he had kind of 4 little points that went along with it, and I'll give them to you.
I'm getting bored.
He basically gave these points that God wanted to show humans that there is a future. I mean, it's not over. So that's one. That the future is personal. Because when Jesus came back, it was him, but it was
You're wasting my time.
It was an improved body. It was able to do more things, and I do think that set the tone for us being able to wrap our heads around the verse that says our bodies will be transformed to be like his body. And so it was almost like this body that's that all things can be restored. And I agree with that. So its future's there, it's personal, it's certain. Because then he passed on the Holy Spirit, and that becomes our guarantee. Think about all the verses that says the Holy Spirit guarantees our inheritance. Yeah. Well, it's like a receipt, you know. He used an illustration of that. If somebody stops you and says, "Hey, did you pay for that? What did you get that you steal that?" And you're like, "Oh, I got a receipt."
That's the point. Not only is it a receipt, Jay, it's also a deposit. Meaning that there's this more to come is going to come. It's like whenever I go speak somewhere, someone sends the people that handle my speaking a deposit. That's saying we're confirmed, we want him to come here, and I'm saying because you deposited that, I'm coming. And then all we got to do is wait for the event to happen. Well, that's exactly what the Holy Spirit was. He is a deposit guaranteeing our inheritance, meaning it's going to happen. It's going to come. You want to say something to that?
Yeah, I was thinking how Paul explains this is pretty profound. It's kind of a verse in Genesis 3. When Jesus said, or whenever it says that the Son of Man must be delivered, or how it says it here, basically these things had to happen. Yeah, and then they're tying that right there, that this had to happen. The crucifixion, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus had to happen. They're tying that to Scripture. And listen to how Paul says it at a very similar point in Galatians, when he's just talking about the necessity of the gospel. And in verse 21 of chapter 3, he's talking about the law. He says, "Well, is the law contrary? How the law does not enable righteousness that can only come through Christ?" He says, "Well, certainly not. It's not that they're contrary, because the point is that the law is bad, and Christ is good. They're at odds with one another." Because it seems like that's what you're saying, Paul. And Paul said, no. He said, "I'm not saying that. Certainly not. They're not at odds. They're not contrary. For if a law had been given that could give life, well, guess what? Well, the righteousness would indeed be by the law." But that's not the case, because you can't be made right by what you do because we're sinful. That's the whole point of Galatians and Romans, for that matter. But the Scripture, going back to what Jesus said, they didn't understand the Scripture. The Scripture imprisoned everything under sin. Why would the Scripture
say something already?
So that the promise by faith in Jesus Christ might be given to those who believe. That's what he's doing here. Like that is the accomplishment here. So it is partly this accomplishment of us being able to attain righteousness, not by what we've done, but
You're
by
wasting
what Christ
my time.
did. But it's also about becoming of the kingdom, and that we now embody that. We are the priesthood. We are the outpost of the kingdom of God going out to the world. So I think that the reason why Jesus had to die was twofold. It was one, to bring the kingdom, or two, one, to be forgiven. And
You're wasting my time.
And the kingdom to participate in eternal life, which is, by the way, relationship with Him. John 17:3.
Yeah, I agree. That's good. Well, that last little future point he had was that the future is the ultimate retriever. He didn't word it that way, but that was his point. And I thought, what do you mean by that? And so
you're wasting my time.
He went on this narrative about the reason people don't realize what happened in the resurrection. I mean, one is obviously you have a dead man coming back in time. And one of the evidences that we know this is true, that the Jewish followers who were the first to recognize these, and some that were outside Israel, in the cemetery, whatever, for them to acknowledge this went against everything they were taught, they believe, and these are people that when you
You're wasting my time.
$500 saw him, the resurrected Lord, and said, yeah. And then their actions proved that their hearts had been transformed. But he made a point that the reason they didn't want to recognize it, it said, because he said humans are humans, no matter what time frame. We're a group of creatures who look at things of likes and dislikes. He used Facebook as an example. So there's a reason that it took off, and there's not people. Because that's the way we operate.
I'm getting bored.
We don't like this, we like this, we don't like this. So when people read the Bible, what do? They like some parts, they don't like some parts. And that's the way they try to live. The problem with that is, to his point, when Jesus was resurrected, it's no longer about what you like and dislike. Because if that happened,
you're wasting
you
my
need to
time.
deal with all the things you don't like in the rest of the Bible. Because he has now trumped all arguments. So it was a very good point. And so he had a list of why Jesus had to die. And in this list, I changed the wording on some of it. But it was basically that all humans want to be loved. All humans, whether you believe in God or not, everybody wants to be loved and liked. We don't want to lose loved ones. Whether you're a believer or not, we do not want to lose loved ones. All people are upset when that happens, believer or not. Number 3, there are unretrievable aspects of life. And we really struggle with that. You know, when you think back when you were a kid or when you were playing sports and was the greatest, well, at some point, you're no longer going to be able to do that. And we really struggle with that. The older we get, we're like, we wish we could go back. But
say something.
And that's that point about that in our future, some things are unretrievable, but the resurrection is the ultimate retriever. So that's 3. 4, death takes away everything. Now we try to justify it. We think of memories.
You're wasting my time.
Where someone died. We make statues. But in reality, it's over. Everything is gone. And it's just a fact. So when you put all these things together, we want to be loved. We don't want to lose loved ones. There's unretrievable things. Death takes away everything. And then his 5th one was that all people fear death for their life. He said, when people come to me and say, I don't fear death, he says that he tells them point blank, he said, you're alive. And it's true. And so the reason he put that in that order is because when you look at what Jesus accomplished, the reason he had to do this, he had to have an answer for those things. This is God's love on display, and he had to do it because he loves us. It's his nature. He had to show us there's a way to live with your loved ones again.
You're wasting
He's
my
having
time.
meals. There's things that you didn't think were retrievable that are retrievable. He went down a long list about people in poor relationships, bad marriages, they never got it right. He's like, when Jesus comes back and we receive our new bodies, all of that's being made right. All the things you thought were unretrievable, they're retrievable.
Say something already.
And even the death takes away everything. His resurrection gives you everything. Everything is better than what you thought. And there'll be no more fear of death because how else could he have proven that?
And that's exactly what it says in Hebrews. We need to take a break. By the way, welcome to the podcast. Can you tell we started? Can you tell we're excited about this? Dad launched us right in. So welcome to Unashamed. Let's take a break.
My name is Tanya. I am 42. As a mother of 9 kids, I think I waited this long to get Botox Cosmetic because I take no time for myself. My kids are sports kids.
Say something
We're always running from one activity to another. I'm still Tanya, and I got Botox Cosmetic. And this is like the first thing I've done for me in a really, really long time. My life is still crazy. It's just as full as it was before, just with less lines. Botox Cosmetic is FDA approved. It's temporarily make frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better. The effects of Botox Cosmetic
I'm getting bored.
2 weeks after injection causes serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as symptoms of swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Do not receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow, eyelid drooping, and swelling. Tell your doctor about the medical history, muscle conditions, and medications, including botulinum and
Say something already.
Increase the risk of serious side effects. See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Wake up, baby.
Because bedtime stories don't always have happy endings. There's BC Lime's powder, powerful relief that puts pain to bed fast. Because life.
Say something already.
Is a chance you're buying for independent stuff like Grief. The business of new memory was proudly yours. Then she got a loan for Amazon to roll space address back. For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early.
I'm getting bored.
So everything should go home on time. There's Granger, offering professional grade supplies backed by product experts, so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call Granger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm getting bored.
Dad, can you borrow your hat?
Happy New Year! Have you thought about new auto insurance? And insurance for the New Year's
I'm getting bored.
This year, Fitch means upgrade to NJM, top-rated service, and great rates. No vehicles or mascots, just great insurance. NJM.
They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There is nothing more beautiful than our Earth. With Earthday 365,
You're wasting my time.
we embrace nature's amazing diversity. We celebrate the heroes who unlock its mysteries and protect its future. Explore the world every day on Earthday 365.
So, yeah, you're right, Jay.
Say
It's so
something
powerful. And I was thinking that verse in Hebrews, it says, it's Hebrews 2, that says he has destroyed the one who holds the power over death. And even though we know Satan's still around.
It gives you no doubt allegiance to God, to your own Elizabeth.
I'm getting
What you
bored.
left with is it's good. Makes you feel good.
Yeah. And it makes you live better,
Oh,
even knowing this. And isn't that ironic? Because you would think if someone had come up with a way that makes you invincible
You're
because you're
wasting my
going to be
time.
resurrected, then you would debase to the worst things of humanity, take advantage of people because you were invincible. But it does just the opposite when it comes to Christ. You become a servant. You become one that helps other people.
I wish someone would check it and see how much, how many times the word hope
I'm getting bored.
that's all you live with. That's everything you live for. But if hope is there, it's a wonderful thing.
I think that's what's interesting about the kingdom. Let's talk about the kingdom too. Is that it is a message of hope. It's a message. I mean, we talk a lot about it. It's also
I'm
embodied.
getting bored.
That's the kind of the concept of that it's already here, but it's not yet. It's kingdom here, kingdom now, kingdom come. It's all of that. And so for there is an eternal significance of what's happening now. There's deliverance now here on planet Earth.
Say
But,
something already.
I mean, all of us can say that I've been a Christian for over 20-something years, and God has changed me and transformed me tremendously in that time period. But even with that transformation, there's still this longing. So there's still this message for the people, like all of us, that Jay's talked about, that all things are retrievable and redeemable in God's
wasting
time,
my
and
time.
at the second coming of that when we're in glory. I mean, I think that is a huge, that is a hope, and that we hang on to, and it should permeate our personalities. It should permeate our dispositions, and I think that's one of the things we push back on some of the hyper-political stuff. It's not that we don't think the kingdom is political in some sense, because God's kingdom on earth, including our politics, but when things are bad, when the earth is supposed to be falling apart, man, we're not the first generation that can say that. You go back to the Second World War, and you think about when the Holocaust was happening, the whole world is at war.
I'm getting bored.
You would think, man, this is the end of all of it. You would think that. And so we're not the first generation to be in a position that the world's going on a handbasket. But I think the message of the kingdom is, man, there's hope for us.
Yeah, and to answer Dad's question, Maddie just looked it up 130 times, Dad. In the King James, it was 130 times it's mentioned, which shows you that is the core. And I'll give you a perfect example.
If this is not true, there is no hope.
No, and just this last week, a dear friend of mine, Isaac Day, who was a huge inspiration in my life, he came along at a time when I was in ministry, a little bit dry, over that valley of dry bones, and needed someone to remind me why I was doing what I was doing. And a lot of times it happens to pastors and preachers. And he was just like a lightning bolt that came into my life. He came here, he was from the Gambia, and he just inspired me because he was working in a country that was 96% Muslim, and yet he's in there talking about Jesus. And I thought, man, what am I doing complaining about my little cushy setup? And so we became friends, and this last week he crossed over. And the last 4 years of his life, he suffered greatly, with something we could not figure out. He went to more doctors, did more tests. He was stricken by something that nobody could figure out what the answer was.
I'm getting bored.
But he and I, our conversations over the last 4 years that's why we look forward to being made complete and whole in the resurrection, no matter what happens in this life. And so I just saw this dynamo from Christ really just be in a shell for 4 years until now he's awaiting the resurrection.
You're wasting my time.
And I thought this week, I don't grieve like men who have no hope. You have a dear friend like that. And look, he's only 61 or 2, he's just a little bit older than me. But I realized, in great shape. You wouldn't look at him and tell anything was wrong with him. But my personal belief is the evil one struck him with something. It was Job-esque. That
you're wasting my time.
His demise.
They did a dedication video yesterday.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, it was,
and I saw the video. Yeah, and I cried when I watched it. But I wasn't here, but I saw it. And he's a tremendous man. And we talked about him before. If you Google him sometime, you can see some of the videos and stuff he's done. Well, he's a tremendous man, and his family is amazing. Dad and I support a school, and now is a legacy school for what he started there in Liberia. But my point is, I didn't spend all week just depressed, because I understand the resurrection. I know that the totality of a man's life, he gives it to God, just like Isaac did, that we're going to be in heaven. Well, whatever that looks like, heaven and earth together, the new heaven, the new earth, it's going to be exciting. We're going to have conversations again. So that's the way you have to view life.
And I think people say, well, it doesn't seem like we're winning when that happens. We're still in a situation where, the evil one takes him out, if it was.
Right.
You're wasting my time.
But other people rise up, and what we do is dangerous. I've done multiple dangerous things. I shared Jesus to a group of people in Iran, and after I finished, Larry Bowles said, "I'm sure you went up on a bulletin board somewhere." I kind of laughed, but then I thought, ooh.
You're wasting my time.
I'm looking around behind me. That's right. Okay, what does this mean? But I think you're right. I wanted to make a point about what Zach said about the politics, because, N.T. Wright had an interesting illustration. Not illustration. He did this. He was teaching a group of 12-year-olds at their Sunday school.
I'm getting bored.
And he asked them, why did Jesus die? So he was fascinated that half of the answers, and it didn't matter male or female, he just said it broke into 2 categories. Half of the answers were, in the historical view, the Romans via the Jews.
Say something already.
They killed him because they thought he was a threat. They thought he was a threat to their politics, which was he was surprised at how intelligent an answer it was. And he said, then the other half was basically what they had heard in Sunday school, which, so we could go to heaven,
for our sins.
Died for our sins. And so he said he was really intrigued by that. And so what he then discussed with them is that, because the one thing they didn't talk about was from Jesus' perspective, or God's perspective. And that's what we've kind of been talking about, this difference in him dying and then him having to die. God having a plan for humans. And that was bigger than just a rescue, but it was more of a rescue and hope being given, and then to use the same people for his purpose, to be the mouthpiece and ambassadors and the kingdom on earth, doing these kind of things, going into places after the tragedy happens and looking for ways to show compassion and love of God, meanwhile sharing Jesus. You take somebody like Isaac Day, that's a picture of that. He's in a place that was in desperate need of hope in Jesus, and he's not getting anything out of it.
No. Very humble,
living a rough life for the kingdom.
Say something already.
I feel that same way about Larry Bowles, who spends huge amounts of his time on earth in places that are just, there's no comforts whatsoever, but he's doing it because he believes that we're representatives of the king.
That's exactly right. And that we can make a difference. So let's take it on.
You're wasting my time.
Imagine your child going to school without a decent pair of shoes and
Say
socks,
something
or
already.
a warm coat to protect them from cold. Many families across the country struggle to be able to provide these basic needs for their children. Subaru wants to help by giving these critical items to more than 150,000 children in urgent need this year. Subaru.
You're wasting my time.
Yeast infection. Screw that. Monostat relieves yeast infection symptoms 4 times faster, so you can cure that and get back to that. Monostat then.
I got my first Botox cosmetic treatment on a lunch break.
You're wasting my
The
time.
treatment itself probably took 15 minutes.
10 to like 15 minutes.
Literally, on our lunch break.
So I got treated on my forehead,
My frown lines and my crust feet.
And to be honest with you,
there was a pinch.
Quick pinch,
and then right afterward afterwards.
and I'm really happy with the results because they're very subtle. I still quit me.
You're wasting my time.
Last lines. Botox